Hello everyone and welcome to Animosity Smite Jotunheim Division Finals between the Firelink 5 versus the Masonry. I'm D'Lo, joined here by Not a Valve Game. We've got Almighty Eye in the Sky, Tess, joining us for the fun. Valve, how we feeling?
I'm excited, man. I'm super excited because these are some players I recognize. I know J-Rod Jr. Shout out to him, sub for my NATO C League team. Played one set and he absolutely fried their solo laner. So I'm excited to see him pop off in this game. You know, I heard that this is a 5th versus 6th seed situation in the final of this division.
Yeah, crazy to see that kind of work, but either way, no matter who wins and takes home the gold, it's an upset in a sense. Firelink 5 retaining that 6th seed, and Masonry being the technical upwards advantage peoples, given that they have 1 seed up above. But still, it's going to be close, and it's going to be interesting given the fact that we're at the bottom of the division, and we're some teams that you weren't quite expecting to see reach so far. So maybe they're just sandbagging, and now they're going to really show their true power levels. What we're showing right now are some bans here. People with OCD, please look away. Ravana on the bottom for the side of Masonry, they're going to ban that one out. And Cirquette from Firelink 5.
I feel like that is a unfortunate graphic diff. But the Cirquette and Robin shows that the jungle priority is big here. NMR, or the MMR terrorist and Simon Says Smite clearly are the focuses for these two teams. Ganesha is banned away in response. A safe middle ground support that can engage with those Dharmic pillars, but also has a ton of protection with that Ohm ability, that second ability, giving 60 protections to himself and everybody around him. I'm not surprised to see that banned away.
Makes sense. So we're seeing a good amount of spread as far as the roles being given priority, but now we're starting to look to this duo lane. With that Ganesh Charybdis ban from Firelink 5, completes their top 3. Now it's just going to be up to our friends on Masonry here, and they're going to ban away that Camazot. So a nice little even. All the food groups being addressed except for those mids. Leaves this open pick here for Firelink 5. What do we think it's going to be?
Cthulhu's up.
Cthulhu is up.
It's probably going to be Cthulhu. It's going to be that, or it could be Amaterasu. They could also look towards the Nuwa, because as I've deemed it, the funny Nuwa button is a powerful thing that you can use on a team. However, there is some interesting stuff to be up, but this is a very interesting first pick. If this gets locked in, this is, I wouldn't call it spice, but this is something that Stoomps is saying, give me Maui, I want it now. It is confidence, and I love it.
That is interesting, to say the least. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson joining the Firelink 5 off the get-go. We saw a lot of dual prioritization there on the side of both when it came to the P's and B's, but I've got to say, I have not seen a Maui prioritized so highly ever since the advent of the god actually joining the roster in the first place. Do you think there's a certain strategy that comes with this, or Firelink 5 are just like, we feel comfortable on this god? And then the question, of course, is, what do we do to counter it on the side of the Masonry?
Well, unfortunately, what we did to counter it is that we swapped the rosters around. I did not realize that it was the Double was the one that picking the Maui. Double has the extreme confidence here. But there's some common Maui counters that are something that does not allow him to, get into the air, something that locks him down, or immune his ultimate. That Islet is a very powerful tool, but if you have a knock-up immunity in kit, something like Ares Flames, just the first one that came to mind, but there's some more prevalent ones that just prevent him from that tool being effective. It's something that could definitely counter out the Maui. But I can't believe I forgot about this guy. I've been raving about this guy for weeks. How did I forget about Opwash? This guy is nuts. They turbo buffed this guy.
I love Opwash. I'm so happy to see him turbo buffed. I remember the first game I saw him logged in, Z10 was an absolute hater, and then he went 9-0 on Forget Nick. This god, I genuinely feel the complete opposite about. Hate him with a passion. Hachiman joining the squad. There's balance in life. You take some, you give some, you lose some. Unfortunately, we're going to be losing some sleep over this one, but the backline has been secured for the Masonry.
Hey, that is a safe backline in that Opwash and... Oh, we're talking about things we hate. Give me a second.
Talking about things that are safe too. Gross.
Let me analyze the Masons real quick before I ramble about Nike. The Opwash can protect the Hachiman, while the Hachiman has so many tools to get away to safety, can do damage from a range, and the Opwash also just has so much damage and is such a threat with that Empty the Crypts reducing the damage you do. Now, Nike. this god is Honkshu
Yuck!
incarnate. This
Yuck!
character is, I find,
Ew!
the most boring to play against, but it is something that is safe, and it is something that can be effective. It's something that it soaks damage. And as a carry, it's something you hate playing against because it stands in front of you, and it blocks your auto attacks. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Stooms pick up a Sunder later on. But the Bastet is picked up. A Wheelix is the response, which is a good pickup into the Maui. It's a good pickup into the Nike and the Bastet. All these characters have jumps, which means they can get pulled by that Gravity Surge.
It does, however, leave us a dearth, in fact, of what can the Masonry do to actually initiate that. They're going to have to be relying a lot on Firelink 5 or just hitting that Spectral Panther Spirit. I'm hoping to see the support maybe just round out something with that gives you a nice knock-up of Sobek, potentially. A lot of potential there. Anything that just can really facilitate easily this Awilix getting potential could be really useful to your side. I gotta agree though, Valve. Honkshu indeed. I'm already sleeping imagining this Nike performing. That being said, it will be really nice because instead of sustaining the typical way with actual healing, which makes you vulnerable to the fleeting breath from an Alpwash, a nice shield to your name is a bit more helpful. Amaterasu, speaking of sustain, going to be locked in there for the Masonry. The Chernobog hover here as a response from Firelink.
I like the Chernobog because it is something that can rotate in early, mid, late. It has that split push threat, plus the teleporters in each lane after a certain point allow him to just kind of leisurely come back as he pleases. The Agni coming through, also characters that don't have leap, so Awilix doesn't have a free pull on these carry. Agni is somebody who actually has quite a easy time killing Amaterasu. This is going to derail me. This is a troll hover. This is a troll hover. There's no way.
It always is, but you don't know. You don't know.
Until
We don't know.
You have Get Fisher playing Arachne support. Shout out to anybody who knows what I'm talking about here. But
Please.
That is a long time ago. She used to have Sylvanas 3 as her ultimate. But
damn it!
That would have been insane. But the Yamoja hover here makes so much more sense, and it is something that easily triggers the Awilix ult with that ring. Now, it is not something that's traditional like the Sobek, like the Sylvanas, like the Geb knockup, you know? But it is something that is still the Awilix can use.
No, for sure. And it's also, you know, something we've seen been played a lot in Smite 2 since the advent of Yamoja in that roster. So, hey, why not bring that same terror here in the predecessor? Yamoja going to be locked in there, and it's like you said, it provides you very easy facilitation with that Riptide for Awilix to just continue to cause chaos. You don't really even need a skill shot. You just kind of put it down and watch an Agni accidentally blunder into it. Chernobog accidentally do the same, and bing, bang, boom. Awilix got a nice free kill in their pocket. I really like the potential for just turtling, but also at the same time just waiting for an opportunity. There's a lot of patient play potential here from the Masonry. They can wait for Firelink 5 to initiate, because whatever tool they use to do so might just be their own doom.
Yeah, whatever tool they use, it's probably going to be the Maui ultimate that they use to engage, trying to grab this Opwash. But pulling Opwash into your team does leave him open to, you know, empty the crypts on top of you. Granted, you know, that Opwash will be in your entire team, so you're probably going to kill him. But that Empty the Crypts reduces the damage you do by quite a bit. So that is something that can be a threat to Firelink 5. But I do like how this Awilix is going to be the decider here. How much is this Awilix going to do with respect to stopping Firelink 5 from doing what they want to do? And if the Awilix pops off, I think this is a Mason's game for sure. If the Awilix kind of spectates from the sidelines, this is a Firelink 5 game. Awilix is effective for most of the game, is very good. But once you get to the point where you're sieging or defending towers, phoenixes, Awilix becomes a not-so-great character anymore.
You also have some interesting potential of when do we use that ultimate? Do we keep it in our pocket? Sometimes the threat of an ultimate can be just as, if not more potent than the ultimate itself. So keeping that Gravity Surge in your pocket to just force Firelink 5 to rethink their manners of repositioning themselves can be a really effective means of intimidation factor to keep Firelink 5 huddled in the corner and not able to actually move for their own rights. That being said, composition for composition, we've got everything all set up here, Valve. Who do you think we favor?
Again, I think this really relies on Awilix and how well she does in this game, right? The Yamoja, how it is used, Stooms uses this geometry, these gigantic waves to wall off the Agni and the Bog to make sure that they can't get away from the damage that is going to be coming towards them from this mounted archery, from this Empty the Crypts. This Amaterasu is in the solo lane is something that is actually much more killable than a lot of the traditional solo lanes because of the way you build her. You get a Frostbound Hammer, you usually get a Kin size somewhere in there, and then you go your typical tank items, the Berserker, Shield, the Shoguns, that sort of stuff, which are not as tanky as some of those other solo laners, thinking Cthulhu, Cerberus, Chalk. You're squishier, so you can get blown up by somebody like an Agni, by a Chernobog who may look to go into crit. And that could be, you know, something that makes the Mason's house, you know, those bricks don't look too strong. Firelink 5, if they play tight, their formation needs to be in response to this Awilix. If this Awilix cannot be an effective tool for the Masons, Firelink 5 have this. But the Masons have a wild card in this Awilix that can absolutely pop.
Hopefully they build their items better than they've built that little logo they've got going on there. Those bricks do not seem very well stacked. No cement in place, but hopefully the glue that they've got as a team, their chemistry, will bind them together. I think you mentioned something that I didn't even quite touch on. Yeah, Stoops on this Emoja is going to be a huge threat. So the question is, will Firelink 5 suffocate underneath the crashing waves, or will they learn to float and rise above? Game 1 of finals coming at you right now.
Listen, if Pokemon has taught me anything, it's that water counters fire.
True.
So how does Firelink 5 win this game? They have Yamoja.
They also have an Agni. Yeah, you're right. Double super effective. This could be rough here for Firelink 5. You know what they have though on their side? Admins. Double DV means double the danger. If you start to try to test them, they might just boot you from the server, boot you out of your VC. So got to make sure the Masonry are, you know, keeping their toes in a line. Can't overly target this Maui. You might just get shut down.
You say they have admins. Oh my goodness. They've got the, you know, you're beating me here? Nah. And just ban them from the server. That is wild. That is wild. But, you know.
Might just be the strat. I need them gems, all right? I need that page.
Bro, he has the gems by default. If he's the owner of the league, he has the gems by default. He's the one who handles the transaction.
That's a fair point, actually. Didn't quite consider how the economy works around here, but that's okay. We're not economics majors, we're smite majors. And here, Firelink 5, once again up against the Masonry. It's Jotunheim Finals. I'm D'Lo, joined here by Not a Valve Game. Lanes, man, which one draws your eye? It's certainly not going to be the solo.
Oh, the solo lane for the first few levels will be Nike outclears Ama, and then Ama will run away. And then once she hits level 8,
nice.
Ama will completely ignore, but a hook onto the Emoja. Is this going to be first blood?
Master Fisherman gonna bring in a big one. Stooms already reeled in, brought down low by White Hombre. That's gonna be a nice primera sangre for Firelink 5.
I was not prepared for that to go down so quickly. The hook hit the Emoja perfectly, and he caught a real fish right there. Absolutely cooked. You know, there's no fire in that lane, but that guy got cooked.
It seems like maybe the Pokemon move's not quite working out for your way. Now J-Rod in quite a bit of trouble, brought down low by King Kerbis. Hongshu, and now Amaterasu faces the big sleep. Nike grabs that kill.
That, realistically, is an oversight by J-Rod, walking up a bit too far, and Nike just outcleared him. And then Nike was able to just use the minion poke, and the J-Rod took too much damage and then wasn't able to get away in time. That was just a slip-up, and J-Rod fell because of it. Nike has a lot of poke and a lot of damage, especially with the build she has. Looks like on the left side here, Bastet's hungry.
Could be rough. Looking for the Hachiman. No ultimate in pocket means nothing to save ya. Pest News gets swatted like a fly. Simon says smite. Simon says die. 3 kills already in less than 2 minutes here for Firelink 5. They are heating up.
This is crazy. This is wild right now. I thought Yamoja took that. That would have been even more wild if Stoops just sniped that away. Would have been crazy. But the aggressiveness, this is already on their. They're telling the Masons that they got to make sure they're not sleeping, because they got to get aggressive. We're getting aggressive. You got to respond to us. We are doing something here. We're taking you down each lane.
Well, we haven't seen that action from has been the mid so far, and that's good at the very least. You want your op watch to stay on top, and all that damage down top too. Nike in a bit of trouble, might be facing that big sleep themselves. King Kerbis brought down low by the MR terrorist. Nice rotation there from the Wheelix. Gives something to the Masonry. They're on the board.
That's a really big rotation from the Awilix there. Nike was being a bit overconfident, over-aggressive. She had that ultimate, the Sentinel Zeus, coming up soon, but not enough. But Simon says smite. Says, give me that blue buff real quick. Unfortunately, they did not say Simon says, so they did not listen. So they followed the rules of the game right there.
It's in your name. Come on, man. You should know how this all works. But at the very least, that gives the Masonry a bit of a sigh of relief. Didn't get any vengeance on the side of Firelink 5, but I'm liking this call and response, the punch for counterpunch so far. Both teams showing their scrappiness. Firelink 5 going to start scrapping here with the BDK, grabbed without any contestation. Is this just going to be how the jig goes? Is it going to be Firelink 5 dominating the early? When do the Masonry really come online?
I will say that the late game picks, the Apwash, the Emoja, the Amaterasu, all are picks that love waiting till, 20, 30, 40 minutes until they could just get absolutely to max potential and start frying people. This Ama in particular likes to, like I said, she waits till, once she's level 8, she could literally just ignore her lane opponent for the rest of the game. She's faster than them. She can just walk away from them. There's nothing that they can do to keep up. It's not like that is a skill issue on Kubrus's part. It's just that Amaterasu is faster than him. There's nothing that they can do about it. And it is, it's rough. But after a certain point, the Masonry does, I'd say, outscale Firelink 5.
Oh, unfortunately, Maui. What can I say except you're welcome for giving you that nice gravity surge. Not going to be killed, actually, for it. Too tanky at the very moment, but at the very least, putting the fear of God here into the left lane. I appreciate the pressure Wheelix is mounting, but once that ultimate's expended, nothing more to be said and done. The Masonry have got to go home with nothing in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the Wheelix getting active. MMR here knows that they have to be active, especially in the early game as this Wheelix pick. She is currently stronger than the Bastet. Wheelix is effective, I think, at most points in the game. There is a big spike in her damage, especially with this Jotun's now, allowing her to, with that flat pen, with that cooldown, get absolutely involved. Looks like Bastet might be coming over for something more, though. Watching and waiting, observing the dual lane here. Waiting for them to
Meanwhile, on the right side, though, it's happening on each one. Coast-to-coast violence. Sentinel of Zeus forced out. Meanwhile, Bastet enters in stage right. Trying to look for the Emoji this time once again. Stoops gets stomped out. White Hombre takes their segundo kill. Well done there at Firelink 5, just mounting that pressure. The Masonry couldn't find the same results in the solo.
It's a good thing you're warmed up from your Spanish cast earlier today.
Exactly.
Bro, it is perfect. But right now, the only place that has not had any action, you said before, is the mid lane right now. The mid laners have just been left to their own devices, and the mid laners are like, farm? Farm. And they're just looking at each other. They're happy about it. Right, the Opwash getting this T2 Doomorb, Agni finishing out a Spear of Desolation is actually a very big spike for him. It allows him to, it looks like he's going to the Divine Ruin next, but it allows him to fight back into this Wheelix if this Ama comes to rotate over. Right now, Ama's got no defense into the Agni. She's going to go this Berserkers next after finishing this Frostbound. The amount of damage this Agni will do to her is immense. So, he is a threat to gank right now.
Have to find out if they actually decide to make those rotations. Now 6 minutes here. 4-1. Reach the scoreboard for Firelink 5. They've got the advantage in gold as well, about 3,000 to their name. Nothing too big to worry about, but those bombs are going to start to hurt shortly. Like you said, this Agni's a threat. It can help maybe some water to put out the flames. Not quite working just yet, though. We're starting to see the rotations and supports. As far as this 3v3 core fight in the mid goes, who do we think's got the edge?
That's kind of difficult, right? Because I think it depends where the fight takes. Because if there's a wall separating the two teams, Firelink 5 has the fight. But if there isn't one, the Masonry have it. Because Opwash can just dominate it. And Stoops can create a wall that makes the Masonry win the fight as well. Because then Empty the Crypts traps the Agni in. And the Phantom Shell has been picked up incredibly early by the Maui, making sure he's sacrificing some stuff in his build. But Gravity Surge.
It's powerful, and it's going to be sucked right back in by the Riptide. Phantom Shell used right there. We see it. Fleeting Breath draws their last inhale before they die at the hands of Anon Steve. You just killed the owner of the league. You're about to get banned. We're about to see a DC in a second, but either way, a nice kill by the Masonry.
Mont, ban that guy. That was a clean kill. I mean, at first we thought that the Maui was just going to be able to slip away, but those rings coming back, launching him back in. The Phantom Shell was used to try to get out of the River's Rebuke, but Wheelix was able to just keep up and catch him. And that Gravity Surge actually prevented Wheelix from being launched back by the Emoji because of that knockback immunity, which allowed her to stay on top of the Maui for a little bit of time while moving away from the ring so she didn't get launched back, which is wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I'm gonna pretend like it was. He dashed into the ring! Oh, no, he didn't.
We said this would happen. You got to be careful. Stoop's just going to place that thing down and watch you stumble into it. You're not even intoxicated. There's no excuse. Stay sober, stay safe. No drunk horseback riding here for my friend the Hachiman. Just going to ride right back to safety after that gank from the Bastet. At the very least, Masonry showing some teeth and claws. And now they're trying to show their force around this BBK next. Firelink 5 only have King Kerbis to try to respond. It seems like Masonry not feeling too confident in their abilities to take the objective. They decide to back off, look for the blue instead. Firelink 5 say, hey, we'll take that ourselves instead. Or maybe we'll just take a nice Wheelix for the claim. Bit of poke, but not too much else besides that. Firelink 5 go back with nothing.
That was, I think, respect for double rotating over through that teleport. But I was actually talking about the bog using before, but through that teleporter, that is respect, because if double's coming over, is Dovey coming over as well? Is Bastet coming over as well? Let's get out of here, because our team's not in a position to help. So I think it's a smart back off. Unfortunately, that means the Bolt Demon does go to Firelink. So it is,
unfortunate.
You know, unfortunate, but I'd rather not die for a Bolt Demon. Something that's really interesting is this Nike's build opting into the Runeforged Hammer here. I'm not sure if I like it or not. She has two abilities that proc it, but one of them is incredibly high committal with the leap, and the other one is awkward. You have to push them with the shield. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I would have preferred a Frostbound Hammer.
Maybe the logic is thinking, even if it is that high committal leap, they're thinking, okay, Wheelix is probably using that ultimate mostly on the Maui, but Wheelix is here right now staring you down, so best keep that leap in pocket lest you be pulled back to your doom. Gonna grant the Masonry here an opportunity to steal away this blue buff. Wheelix thinking better of it, not knowing what would happen afterwards. You know, here in the mid lane, we're starting to approach the point where Beacon Fight's going to be on our minds. Do we expect to see solos rotate for this objective?
I think it really depends. In a lot of these lower divisions, they like to brawl. They love to fight. There's always action. So I think that, yes, there is going to be some sort of rotation. I think J-Rod is going to reset before this beacon spawns up, get his Berserker Shield, and that will mark the rotation. You see that Kubris has just backed, has gotten his Runeforged now. 2 items, good spike for them, and they're going to back, or not going to back, and they're going to walk towards this mid when this beacon spawns. Dovey, however, taking quite a bit of poke.
Yeesh, that's rough. It's what we talked about. Opwash is a threat if you let them just farm, and we say farm? Farm! And Dovey's now saying farm. Not very happy about how that all went down. Both of these gods are incredibly capable of long-range poke. It's just going to be up to your team to enable you. Well, Wheelix is going to be able to try to escape. In a bit of trouble here. Need the pressure of 200 of fast has been expended. Pulled back in all nice and close like the Feather Step. You're stepping right back into the grave. MR Terrorist brought down by Simon Says Smite. Another kill there for Firelink 5.
Listen, and then Simon says, don't do half of my health, and Opwash lost the game there, because he took half of the Bastet's health there. That was wild. He walked around the corner, pushed 2 buttons, and Bastet lost half her health. That Opwash character is not okay, bro. That is wild. He doesn't even have 2 items done. He's got 1.5. That is crazy. But it looks like Bastet's looking for an invade here. Simon says, I want this red buff, and we're going to have to see if he takes it. He will not outscare the Opwash, though. That is a tough ask for a Bastet to do.
I respect the fact that they backed off right afterwards, even though the kit dump had been used by Opwash for the secure, probably recognizing that cavalry is on the way, and it comes in the form of a woman riding a crazy panther. So at the very least, Bastet retains their safety. Beacon cropping up here in just about 10 seconds. Have not seen the rotation just yet from Atara, so just going to keep up farming, playing that exact same game we saw here in the mid lane, but Nike deciding to get their rotation on. They have that power spike you mentioned from the items. Just going to find out how it all plays out here once we start to position ourselves around the objective. Firelink 5, take the aggressive positioning, take the beacon without any contestation from Chaos.
Something I didn't notice before until now. Nike has itemized into the teleport. Amaterasu was itemized into the beacon. Nike also has the T3 teleport. Amaterasu was likely not going to go teleport in this game. I really hope he doesn't go blind. I'm hoping that he looks into something like the Sprint, the Horrific, or even the Shell himself for that Maui ultimate. That is player-made geometry. It is something that I feel a lot of Smite players are not, the most adept at using. Granted, Odin Cage Emoji Wall, that is a relatively easy thing to use for geometry. But Maui ultimate is something that people don't think about. That's geometry. That is something that prevents people from walking into certain areas here. As, this is the point of the mashup where Cooper stops having fun.
Yeah, no fun at all. No teleport allowed to that tier 1 tower, but now that fun might just be reversed because Amaterasu just wandered into the wrong neighborhood. We got backup. We got shooters on my side. Gonna use that dazzling offensive to try to escape, but they're pulled back in by the kitty cat. A nice dash. Are they just faster, or are they not quite fast enough? Bastet gonna try to catch up right afterwards. A bit more damage, and one bomb rains down on the head. Knocks J-Rod Jr. out cold. Good kill there for Firelink 5. It's now a Pyromancer looked at here for their side in exchange for that Gold Fury. I think that was secured in exchange by the Masonry, so it's a 1-for-1 objective trade. At the end of the day, though, Firelink 5 got a kill on top.
I understand the thought process on switching stances there. You want the heal from the stance switch. But there is no world you get out there from healing. You have to, you gotta run. You gotta just run. You outpace everybody on that team except for Bastet with the speed buff. And the movement speed from her lead, right? And you could probably survive against the Bastet with your 2. And you could dash out of the route. She doesn't have the Huntress of Bast anymore. I think that stance switch is what sealed the deal for J-Rod. And if J-Rod gets out, by the way, that is turbo worth. Because J-Rod gets out, he burns the bead, sure, but, you know, the Gold Fury's his.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see that. Maybe just a bit too much buyer's remorse on the side of that stand switch. Okay, though, Masonry's still not too in a shabby of spot. In fact, they might have a good spot here. Looking at this Maui, gonna force that solar swing. Swing right back to safety. Oh, Wheelix, though, making the rotation. Maybe just a bit too late to the party. About 15 minutes of the game. 6-2 after these objective trades. Still gold lead going the way of Firelink 5, about 3,000 to their name, but it's not expanding. And that means the Masonry have a chance to wait for those late game threats that you mentioned, Valve, to turn online.
You know, I don't know if you heard that quick little gas leak from my reaction to the Bastet literally leaping in front of the Awilix Shimoja there with no regard for her own safety. That was
broken.
Wild. Absolutely wild. And it is... I cannot believe she did that. You know, Simon says, ignore me, please. That is an ultimate onto the Amaterasu once again, looking for a pick here.
Change to speed, quick, run! And maybe we're gonna heed our advice this time, using that dazzling offensive. Furthers a bit more displacement, slices that cat in half. That was brutal to watch. And now might be pulled back in. That's that player-made geometry we're talking about. But Amaterasu, never been a big fan of STEM. Not quite the math student we all hope for. Rivers Rebuke, some more player-made obstacles for you. Heard you like those, King Kerbis. Blocked away, brought down low, empty the crypts. Not gonna add anyone to the coffins. Firelink 5 retreat back, 4-man strong with a bit of poke on their side. A nice Riptide might bring them back a bit too close for comfort, but the Masonry already forgotten their quarry. They're just going to go back and get some more farm.
I'm going to be honest, with that skin, I cannot tell which stance she's in. I can't.
It's actually pretty hard.
I am going to take a guess and assume, like right now, I think she's in red stance.
I believe so.
So that is, I'm going to pretend like I was right before, even if I wasn't. And that's how it works. I'm sure that's how. Okay, that is much more obvious.
Oh,
now I
okay.
see it. Okay.
Now we get it. That's tech.
Before, I could not really tell which stance to switch into. We'd have to look back at it, but I'm not going to do that. We're not going to waste the time doing that. And I'm just going to pretend like I'm right.
We also can't. That's good strategy.
You know, it's just, I'm just going to pretend like I'm right. But that's what Chair 2s do. We just pretend like we're right. Anyway, let's stop breaking the fourth wall here and look towards the game. Right now, the Masonry have been responding very well to Firelink's, you know, advances. They went for the Amaterasu there, who was a bit, you know, up. She was at behind the blue buff wall of the Firelinks. And the team was able to get over in time. Amaterasu bought enough time for them to come over. This Amaterasu is doing exactly what she wants to do. And it is wasting your time. She dashes over onto the Bastet here, trying to look for a fight.
A bit dangerous here. So let's see this beacon crop back up. This time the Masonry trying to take that aggressive positioning. A couple bombs rain down. Here comes the landfall. Pulled back in one. The bead's in the sky. It's golden hour for Anon Steve. And now you might be brought down to the grayscale instead. Double kill immediately. Simon says, die! MMR Terrace brought down alongside the Opwash. Leaves this beacon wide open for Firelink 5. There's still more kills to take for the claim. Stoops is getting bullied, pushed around. Solar swanged on and might be brought down after one more basic attack. Not quite enough. The dazzling offensive stops King Kubris in their tracks. Stoops will die thanks to the dive from It's Dobie, but It's Dobie might be dead in a second. There's that glorious charge on forward, and it's Dovi's been abandoned. Sorry, buddy. Churn says I can't help you any more than I could have already. 2 for 3 there, but the beacon does go down to order. Might be mistaken, because J-Rod gets taken out right afterwards. The White Hombre finds revenge for their fallen comrade.
It is, the fact that J-Rod, for one, actually had a chance to live if the Maui doesn't hook him is so wild. If the Maui is not on the mark with that hook, Amma gets away there, for sure. That character is
He's a master fisherman.
This guy can fish, right? If I was on like an abandoned island, and I had to pick one of these players to go with me, I'm taking double, right? Because he can fit. This guy can catch, right? But realistically, this fight, right, it started with Amaterasu getting aggressive on the Bass stat, and then all of a sudden, everybody just wanted to scrap. And it was an absolutely beautiful Rivers Rebuke that just completely encapsulated the disaster that struck the Masonry. Because Simon Says was able to just instantly get a double kill. The Vulgar has been picked up, though, and it might be stolen away.
Firelink 5 grabbed without too big of an issue there. A lot of poke dropped on top of King Kerbeus' head, but not gonna be stomped to the curb. You can't use that leap. Just because we let you do it once does not mean we're gonna let you do it a second time. That shell, though, might just save their life. The corpse explosion's not enough. The shell fades just in time. Or is this a cat or a turtle? Does not matter. The shell saves them either way. Firelink 5 get away with absolute murder there for the Gold Fury.
That is crazy. The fact that Bastet probably had you can count on 2 hands how much health she had. Wild. The pull from the Maui.
Oh no, empty the crypts. You've been added to their numbers. Gonna be the Outwash down first, Kerbeus down next, and they're continuing the offensive. Masonry want more. Dazzling offensive lands on top of the head of the Maui. Could be trouble, so we got a Master Fisherman here, and we caught ourselves a big one. Stooms gets taken down by the Bastet. They continue the offensive. Masonry are a long way from home, and Wheel's gonna try to use that Panther to escape, but the Kitty Cat says absolutely not. Double kill there for Simon Says Smite. J-Rod picked up right afterwards. It's only the Hachiman left alive, and Bastet seems to have the same hatred for that god that I do. They go in, think better of it, retreat back. Masonry get mollywopped.
This guy can fish, bro. This guy can fish.
This guy can fish.
Amaterasu kills Agni there if he doesn't get hooked. Amaterasu does something in that fight if he doesn't get hooked. Like, that is completely stuffed by this mountain. We were wondering why it gets first picked.
True.
This guy can fish. Like, this is so insane from this. Double is absolutely, he's fishing, filleting, and serving right now on the Masonry. Cutting them up and making it look beautiful. Making it look like a 5 Michelin star restaurant right now. Gordon Ramsay would be in tears with how good he serves this fish.
Yeah, Masonry is still looking for the lamb sauce in the meantime. They're getting called donuts. It is not looking good in the kitchen for them. There's a complete fire in the oven. They need to find a way to turn on the stove and start this pan sizzling. Because Firelink 5, they're cooking with gas. 21 minutes here, 14-5. About an 8,000 gold lead. Where the hell did that even come from? But you answered it. It's just the great team play, the synergy from Firelink 5, and it's all revolving around the Maui. You asked at the desk for this engagement to begin with double the DB, and DB must stand for damn boy, because this is some great-ass play we're seeing here from the support.
It's gotta be... It is wild. This Maui is absolutely making all styles of fish look delicious right now. It is the amount of work he is putting in right now. Like, Dovey there, it was almost Dover for him in that fight. That Amaterasu. That hook completely stuffed everything that Amma wanted to do. Look at what Amma's doing to Nike. Somebody who's itemized its defense, right? Granted, that is the kin size doing a lot of work. Not even the full kin size. It is the tier 2.
It's a singular sigh.
It is the keen blade, right? But imagine she gets to Agni. Absolutely, the Agni who's at what, 10-15% health, right? That is so crazy, the amount of work that he's putting in right now. But I'm gonna stop, yammering about this guy real quick as we look towards the engage. This fight is being played how they're supposed to. We get a big catch, we get the big daily catch, and the team is immediately like, all right, let's go. Right? They're catching, they're putting as much damage as they can, picking up kills on whoever. Most of the time it's going to Simon Says, right? And it also seems to be going to White Hombre as well. So, it is, going to people who want it, going to people who it should be going to. It's not being picked up by Double, who, as much as glory as he should have, He's not taking it all for himself. He's making sure the team, he's spreading the love around. Making sure the team gets it. But this is, I'm going to be honest, this is warrants a respect ban in game 2.
Might just be the case. Another beacon goes down the way of Firelink 5, third of the game on their side. Just rotating around, Nike makes a little bit of a moonlight appearance here in the dual lane. Not for too much contribution, but hey, nice to pay a visit to your friendly Churn. Like you said, golden kills going in the pockets of who you want to see. 4-0 for the Churn, 6-0 for the Bastet, 3-0 on these Furies. Firelink 5 take another one there for their side. Actually, sorry, 2-1. If you get out with the one that Masonry grabbed earlier, but now Masonry going to try to counter with their own objective. Let's see how that all works out for you, buddy, because Firelink 5 have arrived at the scene, and then Masonry realize, we can't really do much about that. Firelink 5 say, hey, thank you very much for the idea. We'll take it from here. Get this Pyromancer up in earnest. Masonry don't have the greatest tools to try to steal from a distance apart from a nice Pwash. Not on the scene means Firelink 5 grab that bomb for their side. Might look to grab a nice kill here on the Stoops. What's the catch of the day? We're looking for Sashimi at this point. Riptide might give you a bit more distance, but they're blocked off. They've got nowhere else to go. Riptide is going to bury you at sea. It's Dovey takes down Stoops. Fire might be super effective against water this time. This Pokemon battle's been turned on its head. We're looking to capture another big one. The Masonry got to back off. At this point, Firelink 5 happy with their earnings. Retreat back to potentially look for the fire. Maybe set an ambush for more kills.
You know, that was just the map play. They took the gold and they immediately made it over to Pyro. Before that, the Masonry could respond and get their own, you know, objectives. Something I did want to comment on. The objective shredding in Firelink 5 is way faster than the Masonry because the Chernobog is itemized in the crit build. Something I mentioned because the Amaterasu, how she likes to itemize. She likes to itemize into more damage. Frostbound and this kin size both damage items. The Shoguns is not a high defense item, but on the right side here, she might be caught. No, she's at. Never mind. She's faster than her call. Excuse me. But the crit is something that's really good into Amaterasu because she's just not as tanky as some of the other solo lanes. So if she does get to the carries, she's gonna have a fight in her hand. She's going into the Spectral now to try to counteract it, but it is, you know, only so effective.
It's 5 members of FG on the side of Firelink 5. They're linked up, fired up, and there's 5 of them. That's scary as all hell. They're making good on their name. 3 pyro bombs in pocket, and we talked about the desk. MMR Terrorist on this Awilix is going to be a very key part of the composition. Why do we think we just haven't seen as much of a lights out showing here from the Awilix?
I'm gonna be honest, I think it's because of how much, you know, he was always looking for opportunity. It wasn't something that he was, you know, just standing around waiting for stuff to happen. He was always looking for opportunities. Things just didn't always go his way. You know, there was a good response from Firelink 5. There was always somebody there to, you know, back up whoever got pulled. The Umoja, there was a couple of good, you know, pulls in response. Good Umoja 3s in response, but there wasn't enough. Anon Steve gets picked in the mid lane. He gets caught alone by the cat. And you know what the cat's like? They like fish. And he's looking like a tasty fish right now.
Fried up, grilled up, rolled into sushi wraps, and now Firelink 5 looking to wrap up this game potentially. Looking for this left side Phoenix. Rebuke going to be the answer. Hey, heard you like seafood. You might put it on the platter yourself. Shell going to be expended. Nike stays in the back line. King Kerberos does not care. They were willing to die for the crown. Dovey's got to retreat back underneath that dazzling offensive. A good gravity surge, but you brought back in the tankiest target, and you're no master fisherman. That's all going to be the job here for the landfall. Not going to find any targets. That's okay. Phoenix is still the apple of our eye. Going to go down without an issue there to Firelink 5. They rotate to look for the mid next. Masonry could be in trouble here. They're going to try to step up to the claim either way. Glorious charge, finds decent damage there in a Kerberos. Might be the first one to go. Moonstrike takes down 2 for the stun, but Simon says die once again, and J-Rod will obey. Firelink 5 stay on top. Phoenix can't say the same. It's burned away, and with that, the team of Order can retreat.
You know, I was going to say this is where Awilix feels her weakest on defense or on offense on Phoenix. There's only so much she can do. If Gravity Surge is down, how is she ever getting in? How is she ever getting involved? Her blink, okay, what? She blinks in and her relics are instantly forced? Her beads are instantly forced? She dies? There's only so much she could do at this point in the game. It is reliant on Umoja getting something big and her getting somebody that either doesn't have beads or isn't too tanky to kill. Right now, this Maui is a bit too tanky to kill. This Nike literally stood under Phoenix for like almost a whole minute and did not care. right? That was wild. And right now it is rough. This Awilix needs somebody to get an opportunity for her, because at this point she can't create them herself because she's stuck under a tower.
Oh no, Wheelik's trying to farm away. Firelink 5 say, I'd rather be fishing. I'd rather be killing him or terrorist again. Divine for Simon, says Smite. Absolutely brilliant play here from the Bastet. There was no cause for worry in the face of this Wheelix. They're stomping all over them. They can use as many leaps as you want. Bring us closer. We dare you to. Gonna be a nice beacon secure there alongside the Pyromancer. Drop another bomb in the pocket of this Bastet. She's sure to use it well. The only bird remaining is on the right side. Valve, what can the Masonry do to hold off the forces of Firelink 5?
I'm gonna be honest, when Yamoja walls off 4 people and the one person she has isolated with your entire team doesn't die, you should probably look at that one person. You know, that Nike was only tanking Phoenix because nobody was hitting her. Why was nobody hitting her? You have a carry with a build that shreds tanks, but there's gonna be some shredding to be done, you know?
Hit her now! She's in your back line, but no, I'm not hitting you back. Best news gets taken out once again, and this fight's being blown wide open. Firelink 5 going deep in the back line. Nike's still alive. No focus fire allowed because Amaterasu's trying to take down the fleeing Bastet. They are immortal. They cannot die. King Kermis can't say the same. Terrace takes them out, and now the Masonry at the very least have something for the claim on their blood ledgers. Moonstrike goes a bit wide. That's okay. They still force them back. The Phoenix still stands.
That hook, by the way, you know, saved Bastet from dying to the Amaterasu.
No surprise.
At this point, I didn't even... I said the hook, like, off mic, so I didn't, you know, stomp over you there with that, but, like, the hook absolutely bodied what J-Rod wanted to do. J-Rod was able to, you know, dive in the back and zone out the entire team, so King Coopers would die. Right? But Bastet would have fallen if that hook didn't connect. And the hook connected, so not in this universe.
Ooh, wait 3 seconds. Just wait 3.
FG,
it's in the game. Firelink 5, take it away. On 4 members, too. They could have waited a few more seconds for King Kermis, surely, no? They must have some sort of beef. I don't know. Firelink 5 say, Firelink 4 sounds good enough. You might have been kicked out of the band there, Kermis. That's A-okay. Nike can still do their job. And now Firelink 5 all wander up here. They got the teleport for a reason. Nike's joined the party. Can the Masonry hold firm again? Minion wave pouring in means it's their time to enter. The crypts have been emptied. And now they got to empty out of the Phoenix pit because there's River's Rebuke as well. Solar Swing leaves now with a bit of help. The dazzling offensive might finish the job. J-Rod Jr. takes down Double DB. MR Terrace followed up, and J-Rod too. It's 2 for 2 so far. Front lines have been wiped away. Dovey bombs out Stoops. They're on the killing spree. It's a 3 for 2 so far, but Firelink 5 might have lost their fire for this fight. A couple more bombs force the Aegis there from this Hachi. Here comes the Churning Bog. They're a living nightmare. Got to make sure you don't turn out dead. And now some buyer's remorse there for Anon Steve sticking around for too long. Simon says Smite reaches the double-decker kill count. 10 on board with no deaths. Phoenix going to be turned to ash, and now Firelink 5 turn their attention to the Titan. Dovey dies for it, though. This could be unfortunate. Hachiman still here to defend. Drops down the Heavenly Banner, but gets sent to heaven themselves. It's the deicide. Firelink 5. They've caught themselves a good one. They've caught themselves a game 1.
That they did. Unfortunately, the start of that fight just did not go well. I don't know where Awilix was with that gravity surge on the Maui, but if she's able to lock down that kill when the Maui was, you know, flying up in the sky for a pretty long period, if she gets that gravity surge in, that is Maui gone, and there's no chase down, there's no continuing of that fight. That is a pick. Everybody has to reset. Both Phoenixes are up. That is amazing for the Masons. But unfortunately, the Awilix just was not there on time. I believe she was on Suku trying to answer the Bastet. But it's just...
Yeah.
You got to be able to react to that on time. And unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
I think there was a lot of pressure riding on the shoulders there of MR Terrorist, and we just didn't get to quite see them execute to the levels we expected. I'll say it again. We mentioned it at the desk. You kind of need your Wheelix to really be more than a spectator there. And it's not like MR Terrorist was not trying. They had opportunities, but sometimes the focus wasn't there from the rest of the team, and you got to make sure that your target selection is good. If you're bringing in double the DB, you got to dedicate a lot of resources to kill them, so all 5 members need to focus fire on the Maui, but we never got to quite catch the big kahuna. We're just catching small fries, minnows, while the big tuna swam away. The backline did their job too. Pest, News, and Anon Steve, like you also said, relatively safe, able to just stay in the backline and try to snipe away, but once your entire front line gets wiped away, no one really there to left defend you.
No, there really was
But it was
nobody
good.
left.
Nah. Unfortunate there to see. That's okay. They got opportunities. This house of bricks is not just built on a foundation of one. There's 5 members here that are plenty capable. They've reached the finals. They've fought tooth and nail to get here. We're going to find out if they can keep this pressure on going. It's a best of 5, folks, so don't you dare go nowhere. After the break, Game 2 coming right at you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Animosity Smite League Jotunheim Division Finals. Game 2 between Firelink 5, coming off the heels of a nice victory, up against the Masonry. I'm Dilo, joined here once again by Not a Valve Game Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky, you watching at home. Valve, how we feeling?
I am feeling like obviously it was a rough game from the Masons, right? It was, after a certain point, it kind of just got out of their control. But I do think that the set can, and it was close at certain points. I do think that the Masons need something that is a bit less reliant on, specifically NMR Terrorists need something that is more self-sufficient. The Awilix relied a lot on other players using their movement, or his teammates doing something more for him. Not to say his teammates weren't doing it, but the Awilix was only able to follow up on so many things. I really think that this, wild card Awilix, it didn't really work out. So let's go into something that can, take the initiative for themselves. Let's look at something else, and Simon says, "I'm gonna win the set this time." Let's get game 2.
I'm hoping to see something different in terms of the drafting board, but we're going to have to find out because it seems like we might have a quick pause coming up in just a second here. So that's okay. We got some time then to talk about the stats here. We can go into the strategy. If we're not looking for an Awilix, what do you think would enable our friends on the side here of the Masonry to maybe pull their team up from the dust, get back in there, start building a new brick house?
Well, I think that prioritizing either a pick that makes you feel much more self-sufficient early on, right? Something like the Hunbats, the Thor, something that allows you to get involved early on and can let you, take the initiative. It'll allow you to do that. But it looks like the Circuit is something that he prefers to play because they keep respect banning it. Robin and Nike banned away. Bastet respect banned away, which I understand.
Just gotta imagine, though, that a Maui might be the top lock once again. X-Ball gonna be the final ban there for Firelink 5. This time, though, Masonry are on that first pick. Curious to see what's left open. You said it before, Cthulhu's left open, but instead it's the Camazotz. And you know what? This might be a bit more comfortable. You have that safety in the Bat Out of Hell, have means to escape, you have sustain as well. You can be a bit more self-sufficient that way.
Wait. Was this banned last game?
It was.
Okay, I was just making sure, because that would have been wild if it made through the entire thing without being picked. This character got buffed last patch, by the way. It got buffed for being a top pick and ban in almost every level of play in competitive. That character got buffed. Buffed. Yeah, buffed. They made him better. Just to reiterate,
that's the opposite of nerfed.
It's the opposite of nerfed. They made him better. It's the opposite of getting worse. The Bat has been, I don't know. And on my personal channel, I've made the meta update. The best jungler for the past 10 of them has been Gamazon. As Chalk is locked in, as the Maui. The Maui was excellently played by Double last game. I don't see a reason why you would not go back to it. Chalk is a soul laner, that I feel like does Nike's job better, as he doesn't die, and he makes it harder for hunters to play the game. Charybdis, a safe pickup.
I like the fact that the Masonry are kind of rating the ban list from game 1 and saying, some fun toys to play with in here. Charybdis banned out last game in the first wave, and this time picked up in the second wave, I suppose, of the picks. So I'm liking this. Cthulhu, there you go. Now you can be happy or sad. At the very least, it's not a Nike.
The thing with picking the Charybdis and the Cthulhu, the most common, pick into Cthulhu for that shred is the Charybdis, right? She's got the prot shred on the 2, plus she's got that third auto attack, shoots out 3.
Damn it.
Each of those proc the kin size. I'm sorry, they banned the Nike away, so my miserable time is not there, but the Hachimana is here. The safety and the damage that he does is just, too much for them not to pick up. As the Khepri is banned away, looking to ban away some supports from Stooms. Once more, as Thor is taken away from Simon Says Smite, as it seems like they're looking to, ban out some more picks from Simon Says here. And the Janus it's a target ban. And Honesty is probably got a wild Janus, because it's been banned out both games.
I still don't mind Stoops and the Yamoja. We were talking about it off screen last time, but I think they played very admirably on the Yamoja. I think there's some great Rebukes. They had some great Riptides. I don't see a problem with it, especially when you can keep them close to the Cthulhu, keep them in the range of that madness, that insanity aura. It's going to be fantastic. So just run it back, I say, with different tools around you that can hopefully enable a bit more focus fire. Caught with Nervous Rebuke, Charybdis quite literally is a monster, a denizen of the deep. So it's thematic consistency, if nothing else, and I always appreciate that.
So
It's
is
also
Cthulhu.
just sounds like good synergy to me, so exactly. Well, he's the great dreamer, and currently I dream of a nice little Yomoja pickup. That being said, we also still need to find our mid. Should we run back the Opwash, you think, or do we need to look elsewhere?
I think the Opwash played fine, right? It was just difficult for him to survive into this Bastet, which was kind of just all over him. Bastet's gone though, and while we will likely see the mid lane picked up for Firelinks in this slot. I would not see a reason to pick your jungler here because I'd rather see my jungler see the whole comp than my mid laner at this point. There's a lot of powerful mids up. The Agni was played well by Dovi last game, so you can go straight back to that. There's also picks like Tiamat, Baba Yaga, who's also up. There is, if you really want to get, a little bit more spicy for some shred, you could look at Merlin, but Merlin's kind of, fallen out of the meta a bit. Certain players like him, certain players don't. You can also go the Opwash yourself, who is very good in the Cthulhu, because, when you're gigantic, you can't really help yourself from getting hit by that Empty the Crypts.
But at the same time, with Ra being the potential hover here, I like Opwash still for the Masonry. It's a lot of healing, a lot of self-sustain that forces... they did, which is the opposite of nerf, so be careful. And if you get that fleeting breath on top of a Ra, any member inside that Solar Blessing now gets an extra tick of damage and also gets stunned. But it's going to be the funny Nuwa button. Hey, you got to be happy about that at the very least. These 4 keys are going to hurt.
I pogged in real life. The funny Nuwa button's here. The Nuwa is a strong pickup, especially into a pick like Chalk. Those minions, those clay minions, bro. The amount of damage that they do, the amount of health that they have, and the protection shred they provide, and pairing it with something like the Geb is something I love, right? Because you have an extra layer of protection for it. If there's Chalk, if whatever jungler that Simon says goes for gets on top of the Nuwa, you've got that Geb shield, that extra, 600 health from that Geb shield, the CC cleanse, to cleanse them away from that silence if you're not in the same range. That Cataclysm, stunning them out, and the knock-up. It is so much protection for a pick like Nuwa, for a pick like Charybdis, who really doesn't even need it, but it is still somebody you can play through, right? It is good here, and I like the Geb. The Geb is a good pickup. It's a little bit of a slow start, but most of this team has a relatively slow start. It's a late-game comp from the Masons once again, and I'm going to be honest, this is a scary late-game comp. I wonder what Firelink's going to look at in the jungle here.
Slow start, but hey, like the Geb itself, you roll out, you start to become a big boulder, plaster anyone inside of your path. Could be a nice way to go about it. Yeah, Firelink 5 still waiting on potentially a solo or their jungle should they decide to get a bit spicy with it. They got some options here. So I like the fact that Firelink 5 have kind of kept that in their back pocket. That being said, I don't know, I feel like having a nice, really heavy frontline engage with 3 tanks could be really solid to their side. We saw how well they were able to use that tank and spank strategy when you have a Nike on your side. Now imagine 3 members who can easily just wander through a Phoenix, eat those shots without any big issue. That being said, Amaterasu is one of the guys that does really well at shredding down a Cthulhu. So that's a potential option, of course. That passive just revealing all weak points there for the rest of the team to pour on their own damage. I certainly wouldn't mind it. Though what I'm really looking forward to from Firelink 5, the Caveman combo. Big landfall, big raw laser chicken beam.
That beam, by the way, Ra got buffed last patch as well. They keep giving the laser chicken more power. They keep charging him up, making him more powerful. The Nemesis hover is incredibly interesting here. Listen, into Cthulhu, I love Nemesis, right? But the rest of the comp, I feel like you have a difficult time. Camazotz has to wait out on that shield, right? But Nuwa kind of clowns you. Geb kind of makes it difficult for you to play the game, and Charybdis can ignore you. So you've got like a tit for tat here. The Nemesis can effectively, shred the Cthulhu. As soon as he descends into madness, the Nemesis, you're going to get hit by the Nemesis. That is going to happen. It's a similar effect to the Sunder. It's going to shred your protections, and it actually gives the protections to the Nemesis, which makes her very difficult to kill. However, this Nuwa is gonna, make her pop. And that is a concerning metric if you are the Nemesis here. But Simon Says played that last game very well in the Bastet. I'm very curious to see how well he does in the Nemesis. And what he's going to itemize into. Because Nemesis is one of those characters that you can kind of just build whatever the hell you want. You can build crit, you can build ability base, you can build auto attack base with those kitten sides. You can do a lot of stuff. So I'm really interested to see how Simon Says goes.
Yeah, I've got to wonder then in that case, Nemesis having those scales balanced, quite literally. She's holding them and we might see them. You know, if you walk to the Nuwa, might get bopped, but if you walk to the Cthulhu, might bop them instead. Do you anticipate that Nemesis should just camp the solo lane? Is that where we're just pitching a tent?
Oh, no. No. I think you avoid the solo lane right now because you're not killing Cthulhu at the start of the game. You're not doing that. You and Chalk are going to at least need level 5 before you do that. I think that it is possible if J-Rod messes up in the rotation of me throw Meyer on wave, me one wave, me walk away, right? Because Cthulhu is going to outclear Chalk. That is going to happen, right? And after a certain point, he'll look for the neutrals, right? But if he hears Nemesis is on that side of the jungle, I'm just gonna sit on her tower. I'm not gonna care. I am just going to be like, all right, you're not killing me. I'm leaving.
Well, Firelink 5 trying to hopefully leave with a Game 2 victory. Masonry trying to tie things up. Will they succeed? Let's find out and find out where the bricks all fall. Game 2 coming at you right now.
I'm really concerned about this Nemesis. Oh, we're talking about the junglers a lot. This Nemesis has the potential, especially in the late game, to, pop off. But Camazotz can just, if you use your ultimate on Camazotz, he just pushes 4, and he's you can't interact with him. Look at Pest News. Look at it. They were looking for something aggressive there. The hook was off the mark on the one fish character this time. That was
what?
That was dangerous.
Can't believe it. Not my Maui anymore. AA clearly has been replaced by AAA, single A. No more A's. This guy's got an F in
battery?
Master Fisherman, and unfortunately, that just might be the difference. Firelink 5, they've got a great person to play through at the very least. Does their fight initiation remain the same? Is it just going to be all about the Maui starting up with a big landfall? Or do you expect King Kerbis to maybe try to put their hand with these Stormcall initiations instead?
It could be either or, because Kerbis here has this Stormcall starting the fight is something that's a very powerful tool, especially into somebody like Nuwa, who wants to be, throwing out those abilities off cooldown, right? If Chalk's able to get on top of her and use that Stormcall, use the mitigations that Stormcall gives to prevent her from, shredding his prots with those minions and, blowing him up. That's really big. But the landfall was just, so powerful last game. And with the ultimate hurrah, might just be what they go for every time.
Claim minions, what are you guys going for? They completely fled the scene. I thought you mollywopped the Nemesis. Yeah, they saw a penny on the ground, or I guess, I don't know, they saw a rock. They might just be collectors. And so they decided to just wander into the jungle. Exactly. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Masonry not going to be really quite let up there with their minions. That's okay. They stay alive, but I like the aggression that Firelink 5 are showing. There's, of course, something to be said about the mental games, too. The momentum. Firelink 5 won that game very decisively, but you gotta hope that the Masonry haven't quite adopted a defeatist attitude just yet. There's still plenty of game left in the set.
Brick by brick, we built this wall here. The wall that leads us to victory. And we need to, I'd say we take it slow, judging by our comp, how we are set up. It is, we're looking to take it slow. We're looking to get to late game. We have a Geb, who is a late game powerhouse, but they're looking to get aggressive here.
Oh no, they might have a Geb who is dead in just a second. Can't quite find that Master Fishery hook. Instead, it's going to be Cryptus trying to body block them away. Can't quite reel in that big one, so that means Masonry to get out by the skin of their teeth. Cthulhu might be in a bit of trouble here. Already using that Mire, but it's going to, or sorry, the Rushing Terror, but it's going to be able to get back to safety instead. Leaves the big squid monster at least safe for now. So Masonry trying to follow your advice. They're making sure to not overplay their hand, not grant Firelink 5 those early kills we saw in Game 1.
Something I'm not a fan of here. I understand why he's going it. The Tainted Steel. However, Conduit Gem gives you so much pressure. Also, Tainted Steel as an item feels terrible to it. It feels awful. Just as a starter item, you do not feel good when you're building. Conduit Gem is such a powerful item for Cthulhu. It gives him lane pressure. It lets him clear the wave so quickly. And you know how I know a lot about lane pressure, right? But the damage that you are losing by going the Tainted Steel is not what Charybdis is feeling right now, because she is getting absolutely mollywopped by the two over here. The hook is on the mark as the beads are forced away.
Oh. That's just because that stone shield was a bit off the mark in terms of that cleanse. It came a bit too early, means you get the shield health, don't quite get the CC immunity. That's okay. Stoom's going to show some CC immunity of their own. They flash nice and golden as they just ram themselves right in at the speed of a silent truck. And here comes the Kamazots as well. Speed of sound, trying to echolocate their quarries. A nice little Nuwa ult, just going to add a bit more damage, pad their stats some, but still no kills here for the Masonry, and they back off appropriately.
Yeah, but like I was saying with the Tainted Steel, it just doesn't feel good to build. And I understand why he's building it. And for the Ra, for the chop, you know, you want the anti-heal for them. But you can itemize elsewhere into a Pestilence. Pestilence is, I feel like, an underrated item, especially to somebody like Hachiman who's building a Devour or those Crimson Claws, which has less lifesteal than the Devour. And it makes it so that they do less, they heal less when they're fighting into you, which is part of the whole being able to fight into you. And you're probably going to be building a Midgardian Male, so that makes it harder for them to fight into you. Especially with a Nemesis on their team, you're going to want a Midgardian Male. Looking like she's itemizing into basic attack damage with that short bow. I wonder what she's going to be building first. She might go that, you know, Scream Tier 2 Odibo style. Nope, she finished it for the Iqval, so I'll stop talking about that. But the Iqval, interesting start. That 10 flat 10, I think, is going to be a very powerful boon for this Nemesis tier.
And that just might be where we start to see this 10 start to get pitched. But Kamazot's trying to do some camping of his own, roasting some marshmallows, roasting up some Nagas as well. Tasty. No BDKs picked up here quite just yet, which is a bit of a different story than what we saw prior, where that became quickly the apple of everyone's eye. Masonry now starting to huddle now beneath their tower, recognizing that Cthulhu's pretty low. Grants Firelink 5 the opportunity to try to force their hand. Might force the Nuwa down to the ground, and on Steve. Not going to be on this earth for much longer. It's Dovey with the big laser beam. Wipes them away. Good first blood there for Firelink 5. They might get paid back in like, as here comes the Kamazot's Geb as well. That nice Nemesis ult gonna force Geb back. Stone Shield might just be torn apart into sunders if you try to stay around. Masonry have to back off with one member born on their shields, and on Steve will be the only one to fall.
I'm gonna be real here. Because of Tainted Steel, Cthulhu was not able to join that fight because he had no mana, no sustain because of that starter item. He was forced to pull the blue under tower so that he could actually, you know, take the fight. It was, or that he could actually, you know, like participate and do anything. That Tainted Steel is crippling his effectiveness. If he's able to rotate to that fight, there might even be 2 kills there.
That's unfortunate, man. Would have loved to see a bit more put in the pockets. That's okay. So far, game has been slowed down. I will say they are responding to your request. At the same time, though, it's a 2-team game, and if the members there on the side of Firelink 5 say, hey, we want to go a bit faster, they really don't have a chance to consent to that option. They can try to just huddle in their towers, but the consequence is going to be all their farm will be stripped away. What do you think is got to be their strategy? Which fights do we know that we should take versus the ones that we should back off from?
We have to time our fights, especially on solo side, around when J-Rod can actually fight. Like right there, they didn't really have a choice that they wanted to fight there. J-Rod had no availability to fight because he had no mana. He was not able to, he's got no mana sustain on the item of Tainted Steel. He's got Breastplate now, so he's got some mana from that item, but and the blue buff, but it's like, you know, this item just doesn't, you're sacrificing a lot to build this item. For a pretty, it's got a good upgrade, but it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like if you just build a Pestilence somewhere in this build, you're going to be doing relatively similar thing for less damage to your own, you know, capabilities. I just feel like that is a prime example as to why Tainted Steel just causes you to suffer at certain points in the game. Because if Cthulhu rotates there, there's at least 1 kill. For sure there is 1 kill.
Well, might have to see how it all works out. At the very least, Tainted Steel can give you tetanus, so maybe Firelink 5 will just pass out from that, get a blood infection, and that could be the way that Masonry win this game. So make sure the construction scene, make sure you get your hard hats on board, protect yourself from any hazards that might be here. The hazard at the moment could be for this Raw, knocked up there by the Tectonic Shift. Not going to be too much damage, though, beyond that. So the Shockwaves aside, the Masonry forming up here as 3. Gets a bit more farming. 7 minutes now, only 1 kill on the board in favor of Firelink 5. But still, the gold lead about their way. Nice in 1,000. Without any big objectives taken off the map either, just shows that they're trying to take this early game, trying to extend it as well. With so much vision on the board, it's going to be a bit of a hard task to expect. Solo ult for solo ult. Not gonna be solo for too much longer. Here comes the rotation from both the Masonry as well as Firelink 5. Cthulhu gets a nice bird's eye view of it as they see the rest of the tiny peasants try to take them down. Seems that no one will quite die just yet, but here's a little nice fisherman's hook. Goes wide. Master Fisherman, you are no longer.
This rotation was for the blue buff from Firelink 5 there. They noticed both solo laners were trading, they were getting low, but also Firelink 5 was looking for the blue buff. Preventing this Cthulhu from getting blue buff would be massive for them because his mana sustain isn't as high, because he's lacking this conduit gem. It is something that they are noticing because they have, you know, they're pressing the tab key. You know, they're pressing the tab key, and they're saying he has Tainted Seal, his mana sustain isn't as good. He has the breastplate now, but still, his mana sustain isn't as good because he doesn't have the conduit gem. He's got a lot of cooldowns, but like there's you know, there's some mana on that item, but it's really not that relevant when you've got, you know, with the Nemesis almost falling here.
Oh, you got no health, my friend. You could be in quite a bit of trouble. Using that double dash to get back to safety. Bat out of hell already expended as well. Means the Masonry feel good about the damage they provided, but still have not graced the kill board with any bodies for their side. Firelink 5 gonna be using that sustain to just get right back in it. That's the thing about these fights, Valve. The moment you let Firelink 5 have a moment to breathe, they're gonna be back up to full in no time.
Yeah, that was a really good engage on the Nemesis, by the way. That was the fact that Simon Says Smite was able to say, Simon Says, stop hitting me, please, and walk away from that is wild. The way he lived that is crazy, but Chalk putting up the storm call, looking for J-Rod here, but J-Rod's just gonna, you know, slug away his, you know, his body. He's like, no, I'm gonna live. Thank you very much, though.
You gotta back again, buddy. Those Archer minions, they do damage. Funny enough.
They do stop your backs.
This is what I've heard. They've gotten buffed, which is the opposite of nerf. 10 minutes here.
Possibly.
1-0 still. Firelink 5 still retaining that advantage, and the beacon's about to crop up once again. Last time we saw this happen, Firelink 5 immediately took the aggressive positioning around it. Given the fact that Masonry are a late game composition, do we expect them to put up a fight around that objective this time around, or will it be the same story?
I am expecting the Masonry to want to fight after we hit, you know, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, we're going to want to fight. Because it's a late game team. You've got the Cthulhu, you've got the Kamazatz, who's wild late game, you've got the Nuwa, you've got the Charybdis, you've got the Geb. Geb is a, you know, traditionally when you think about supports, and more like a lot of tanks like Geb, you're not thinking, oh, you know, his late game is incredibly powerful. But Geb in the late game is, that shield is massive. And looks, speaking of massive, we've got the Sentinel of Madness here as Nemesis comes.
He's huge! The Kaiju is looking for you, and here comes Mr. Marteris to finish the job. King Kerbis will fall. And now at this point, monstrous J-Rod certainly is monstrous, looming above the rest. Master Fisherman comes in, only going to be able to hook a few minions, some small fry. That might keep you fed for a little bit longer, but the Masonry find the whole enchilada. A nice kill to even up the kill board.
He was huge. That was wild. A lot of wild stuff happened in this game, man. It is. I was surprised he was able to trade into the Chalk so well. Like the Chalk, I see the Chalk's build as well. The Shifter Shield is for the split protections that it gives. This Bull Demon's pulled here. Another engagement.
Could be rough here for Stooms. Eating that Celestial Beam there from the rock could be a bit of troublesome as far as health bar left remaining. Means they have to back away. BDK does go down the way of Firelink 5, a second one to their name. And the Masonry don't force the issue. They recognize their strength. They say, hey, now's not our time. Now he's trying to say, hey, now's my time to try to get me a big one. Has not had the same success we saw in that game one. Gonna see some success instead with this Stygian Beacon, but I'm liking the fact that the Masonry are putting a lot of respect on the space that AA demands.
They are putting a lot of respect on him. I mean, I would respect him after that first game off Maui. He was literally, he cooked a 5-course meal last game from the fish he caught in that game. It was just a clinic from him. Interesting itemization. I was talking about the Chalk build, but I looked down and I see interesting itemization from him. Chalk's obviously going into prophetic, but this Nemesis looking for Hydras afterward. Charybdis slinking away, but a dive might be coming through as Raheel comes down. They're looking here as the boys look to collapse, congregate under the T1. Nemesis walking forward. Bit of aggression.
This is a 5-man gank here. You best be careful. Raw gonna find one target. There's the new wall button, and there's the Charybdis ult as well, but only gonna take a small bite out of this Maui. Instead, the big damage falling down the back line. Dovey and White Ombre have both been wiped away. The Kaiju's on the prowl. They're raining their massive fists across Tokyo and wiping away cities with every strike. Double the DB is double the dead. It's gonna be Simon Says Smite following them to the grayscale. Only the king remains, and the Masonry are here to try to find the crown.
Double the dead boy. As it is that rotation, it completely shifts the momentum. You were talking about momentum before, momentum of the set, momentum of the game. That momentum shift is massive for the Masonry there. That completely takes the wheel of the car, and they just carjacked Firelink 5's game right there. They GTA carjacked them. And now the game is in their control. They have the momentum. There isn't really much of a gold lead to be spoken about here, but it is still a mental momentum lead has been collected by the Mason here.
And they've also collected the gold that they were losing. Yes, they don't have the lead, but they did recover. And that can sometimes be just as important, even if you're not actually bearing any numbers ahead of your opponent. So Granite goes down to the Masonry. Has a fantastic response gank. Firelink 5 just made their presence known for a bit too long. And this is a showing at 15 minutes about. I can only imagine what's going to happen once the Masonry get all their tools online. They're already starting to build with this bricks they've gotten, and that house is going to be mighty strong. The question is, can the Firelink 5 blow it down? I'm going to try to blow down this BDK at the very least. Going to go down without too big of an issue? No, actually, I think that one might have gone. No, it does go down to Firelink 5, making it 3 their side. Geb did give it a nice attempt, but with that, the Firelink 5 trying to re-ascertain a bit more dominance as far as the objectives go.
Bro, Dovey does not care. Dovey just walked up and Celestial Beam to the Geb. What if Camazotz is there? What if Camazotz is on that corner too? I know that they have a ward there, right? But what if Camazotz is waiting on that corner too and didn't walk over the ward just yet? What happens? You probably, lose a relic there. You probably lose a relic or your life there. Look, they're hunting here. They're hunting here. Every time I try to, look for some sort of, time to talk about this interesting chalk build, this interesting Nemesis build, right? We've got like, they're hunting. They're on the prowl here. They're fishing, not hunting. I'm sorry, I missed it. But this is a very, very, combat intensive game. But talking about this, let me finally talk about the chalk build as we have a lull in it. Never mind, they're fighting.
Looking for the bad L on top of the Raw. They do not want to let you talk about the chalk build. This is they want you to talk about this damage that we got on top of the Maui. It's not too much, if we're being honest. Shock now going to join the squad. Stooms into trouble here. Might be underneath that storm call. Forces there. A nice stone shield, but a nicer Raw to make it put them under even more pressure. CC immunity will be awful helpful to get out of that rain dance, and they will be able to escape. So, despite the Pokemon battle going the way of water in this case versus rocks, Firelink 5 still don't get any kills. They do grab a nice Pyromancer, but will they escape with their lives afterwards? No mana left in the pocket here of MMR means it's going to be just fine for King Kerbis to escape. Firelink 5 grab another objective.
Okay. This is something that I don't even know if Stoomps knew this, right? Stoomps knew he did this. Or if anybody knew he did this, if you knew who he did this, right? He knocked up the Pyromancer there right before it hit the debuff. Do you know how much that debuff does? You take
how much?
15% more damage from all sources if you get hit by that debuff.
That sucks.
And if Geb gets hit by that, he's probably dead. The knock-up there, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but his knock-up prevented him from taking 15% more. Him and the Camazotz from taking 15% more damage for getting hit by that debuff, which would have resulted at least in his death, if not in the death of the Camazotz. That is wild. That literally a frame later, and that would have been 50% more damage and a dead rock.
Well, at the very least, they're still staying alive, which means they can plant those 2 stone feet firmly in the Stygian Beacon. Rotations here from all the members, except for Hachiman, not showing their face. And I'm just fine with that. So are the Masonry. Grab that beacon for free. Means that no fight's going to come off the back of it, but they're just fine with that as well. Masonry can take their gold where it comes.
This shock build gets stranger the more I look at it. Where is he going now? He's going into a Brawlers or a Jotuns here, I assume? He's looking... Listen, the Prophetic Cloak I understand to some extent, right? I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I understand what he's going for. He's going for that split defense because of the split, He's diving a magical physical. He landed against a magical with a physical jungler. And, you know, he wants to split defense. He'll have an easier time stacking the magic. At least in lane. But he's only at 7 stacks now. The Brawler's Beat Stick is what he chooses to get here. Which is good to the Camazotz. I like it in the Camazotz quite a bit. Because it prevents him from, you know, standing next to Chalk and deciding that, no, I'm just gonna, you know, absorb all of the damage you do, and then, that's funny. You did damage? No. But that Brawler's Beat Stick is a really big deterrent for Camazotz to go on this Chalk. This Chalk actually does quite a bit of damage and is a threat to this Camazotz. The big thing that allows Camazotz to survive that engagement is his sustain. Chalk now prevents him from doing that with that Brawler's Beat Stick. That 40% for hitting an ability is really big here.
Could be a big fight here around. Really not too much. Oracles are back up, so is the Fury. Firelink 5 starting to poise around it in response to the Masonry who are grouping up. Once again, Hachiman, not seen with the rest of the team quite just yet, does decide to join the rest of the squad, but Ra's separated and has got to find safe pathing back to ensure that they can get to the fight in time. So does Nuwa, bringing up the rear. Now you can see Thulu on the front lines. Landfall gonna bring everyone else in nice and close as well. Descend into madness, descend into my personal hell. They're all grouped up too. Firelink 5 having to retreat down the corridors of this jungle lest they fall, but it's Dovey says, no, you're going down instead. Cooks up some nice calamari alongside the fish that Maui's got. Terrorist right afterwards. And they're being terrorized. The Masonry have absolutely been dismantled. The construction project has gone awry. Stoops will crumble, and on Steve, the only one left, and now no longer. Deicide for Firelink 5.
That was a triple knockup from the Cthulhu, by the way. That turned into an absolute catastrophe for the Masonry. I don't know. I assume Dovey hit like 3 people with his ultimate. That must have been what happened, right? Because his ultimate's back up now, meaning he got all the assists there. He got the kills of the assists there. Because Spear of Desolation is a balanced item. And Ra Ultimate has a cooldown, I swear. But the damage he did there, the amount of damage he was able to put out, is just wild. He just did so much in that engagement. And that thin corridor was a perfect lineup for him to just shoot that beam and absolutely blast the entirety of the Masonry. The damage he was able to was just wild. You see, he's cheating. It's got 0 cooldown. But realistically, it's probably around 45 seconds at this point.
What?
So it is.
Didn't they buff him?
It's powerful.
Is this the buff?
They didn't buff him that much. Okay, they're not. Listen, their balance changes are a
That's
little
the opposite
wild,
of nerf, Valve.
I understand that. It's the opposite of nerf. We've been talking about this for quite a while. It is the opposite of nerf, but they didn't. They didn't do that. As Smite Spectator is one of the most perfect tools on the map. I don't know why we would ever be lied to. But
surely Tess would not give us misinformation. Firelink 5 say, surely you guys don't let us just
bad.
get this nice Pyromancer. Yeah, you're right, my bad. Firelink 5, gonna say, my bad. Oops, all Pyromancers. They take that one away. Look for the Fire Giant right afterwards. Hey, why not? It's in the name. Masonry have no idea this is happening. Maybe just don't feel they have the gumption to stand up against it. It's brought down to half already. Only the big dreamer has big dreams to steal it away. They gotta rush in quick. Not gonna be obliged. Firelink 5 grab it for all their members.
Yeah, that was free. You know, they took the Pyromancer and they said, let's check to see how quick their response time is. And they're looking, you know, pretty poor on that response time. The response time's looking like it's tomorrow. Because they showed up, one person showed up, but you can't stop a Fire Giant without a miracle there. And the miracle did not come together for J-Rod, unfortunately. Now, Firelink 5 have the momentum back in their favor. The Masonry took it away from them, but that Ra ult blasted it right back into their favor. This Ra, Dovey on this Ra, has been an absolute menace. The laser chicken, allowing the Maui to fry the fish this time.
Just hopefully going to keep up that cookery. Seeing it here in the dual lane at the very least. Just could be a bit of trouble underneath that pressure from the Nem. But once again, like you said, you just wait out that shield. Unfortunately, can't quite wait out this judgment coming for you. You've been weighed, you've been measured, you've been found wanting. Pest news brought down. Here comes the vengeance, though. It's MMR Terrorist. Can't quite terrorize me if you don't hit your 2, though. Now you're the one fleeing for your life. The guerrilla warfare is not quite going your way, and the bat might be turned into Batwing soup in just a moment. Has to flee with that devouring leap. over the wall, just barely able to escape, just taking down that Fury as a warning sign. You cross my path, and Simon says you will fall.
The Nemesis was hunting. The Nemesis was hunting, looking for the Camazotz. Camazotz absolutely, like, hit her with a loop-de-loop and pull, and her shoes were looking cool after that. That was actually hilarious. But the Nemesis was able to, you know... the Camazotz got mollywopped in that engagement. Unfortunately, the 2 was off the mark, and even if it was on the mark, the Nemesis shield was there and up for the response to that damage. She's got this Erendite, she's got the Serrated now just finished off, she's got the Seer of the Jungle. This Nemesis is powerful. She's not having the same level of impact that the Bastet did, but she just completely dominated the ADC in the 1v1, and then took one immediately after with no ultimate, no Erendite proc, and won that as well. So it is not something that Simon says you're gonna falter under all this pressure I'm putting you under.
We're approaching, Valve, this 25-minute mark that you marked out as the time the Masonry can start to really get together and start getting the village, start getting these fights online. What does the ideal team fight look for them? Because they're still sort of suffering when they start to group as 5.
Well, for one, I think that the ideal team fight is something that prevents this Shock and this Maui from getting massive value from their ult. Right? We need to find some way to respond or to avoid getting reeled in by this Master Fisherman right now. And we need to stop getting storm called on like all of our targets. Like the mid laner is getting storm called. The jungler might be getting storm called as well. The carry is getting storm called, and the support's getting storm called. It's a big ability, I understand that, but there needs to be some sort of response to this storm call. I don't care if it has to be a new ult every single time. We need to stop getting silenced out for so long. We need to be able to react to these people coming into us, and Chalk is really preventing that from happening at all because of the silence. And silence is such a CC that you hate having to beads, hate having to, you know, respond to with a CC and ultimate, because it just, you know, doesn't feel good. Ever, because you're not prevented from moving, you're prevented from using your abilities. And silences are not something that you really want to, you know, use your CC immunity for, but you're going to have to in this case.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're in enough danger to quite toss those pearls until you realize, hey, I'm 25% health and I still can't even cast my escape button. Maybe the Masonry need to start abandoning those pearls, stop clutching them, use them at the right moments, especially if a Geb shield can't come your way. You can only shield one target. Likely, like you said, going to be that mid laner since there's self-peel options from Charybdis. So if you got to use those beads to escape into your Whirlpool form, do it, please. Also, Stoops, please, get out. Using that stone shield for themselves. A bit selfish, isn't it? That's okay. Going to be used to get themselves back to safety. The Masonry are going to need it too, because this stalwart defense will not hold up the Firelink 5, keep up their team fight mojo. Must be said, like you mentioned before, the issue is that they're all grouping up for these storm calls. Part of the reason is Maui not quite as impactful as we saw before. That landfall around that Gold Fury, though, absolutely brought all the damage and pain that followed. Now Stoops might not be around to help all the pain that follows. Their Charybdis, Whirlpool form expended already. They could be in trouble. Landfall and the bees expended, as well as its own shield. All the insurance, Allstate, you're in good hands. Masonry going to survive that one, but after using quite a lot of resources.
You can't cleanse the pull from the Maui ult, so the beads were necessary there. Though I do think that using the ultimate would have been better for you. I think the beads were just a quicker reaction for him, to make sure. Which is unfortunate to lose your beads before this fight starts, but there's only so much. Nemesis coming from stage left here, looking to poke this Cthulhu. By the way, that was, what, 2 basic attacks? 3, maybe? He might have... surely he got hit by something else, right? Right?
I don't know about that one, man. They've been buffed, which is the opposite of nerfed. In Firelink 5, now we're going to try to bring that Syrian pain to them. They've all been buffed. Have you not heard? Firelink 5, any god they play is immediately going to be more powerful. Stoops, look at these basics. Look at that Master Fisherman. We've ragged in a rock. That's okay. That's the catch of the day. White Ombre takes down Stoops. Might be looking for more as they ride in a horseback to finish off best. Those eagle eye shots nearly sniped down the birds out of the sky. At the very least, the carry going to be able to survive. But without that support, you've lost one big bastion of defense for this next Phoenix Siege. If they decide to take it, though, Firelink 5 seems like they got their eyes on a bigger objective, that FG.
The interaction between Maui 1 and Magi is that it doesn't interact. Maui 1 does not proc Magi's. So the Geb is still getting pulled. Send the Madness forced away as the Nemesis ults him, and it's not looking too bright.
Restores a bit of health, though, there with that knockup, and that just might be enough. Hold on, FG goes down, though. Firelink 5 take it for their side. Nice bite afterwards by Pest News, but you might get bitten right back, my friend. Gonna be able to evade the Celestial Beam. Can't say the same for J-Rod as they try to escape with that rushing terror. Has still a sliver of health left, but it's not gonna be enough. Sliced down into Tsushimi once again. Simon says Smite, put in their place, though, in response by Anon Steve. At the very least, 2 for 1. You knock the FG off of one member of Firelink 5, now brought down to 4 once again. It's still 4 members at full health, though, and that Phoenix is looking awfully tantalizing.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. They were looking for, something. They were looking for a pick. They were looking for a steal. They were looking for so many different things there, and I don't think they were all on the same page with that. The Masonry seems a bit, desperate to make something happen in this game. The world is on their shoulders as the Geb presents. They're looking to siege the Phoenix right now. Storm Call coming out. Fight starts.
Emotes will not save you. You got to help out your team in the back line. They're being completely decimated. Anon Steve having to retreat in face of the shock. Stooms goes down. King Kerbis as well. Front lines being exchanged, but the Bat Out of Hell means that the Bat can no longer participate if they want a chance in hell of surviving. That Phoenix probably going to go down for trade, but you have Charybdis trying to stop him. Manages to evade the landfall. It's invisible because Maui's been buffed, the opposite of nerf. And that might just bring enough pain. That new ult, though, bringing pain right back to Firelink 5. They've got to back the hell on up before they go down. Rushing Terra moving in forward, trying to find the route. And that's because it's invisible as well. They've been buffed. Everyone's been buffed. The Masonry going to be able to get back to Firelink 5, force them away from that Phoenix. It stands on a sliver.
They take all the resources out of the Smite 1 Spectator to put in the Smite 2-1. I didn't know they were that pressed for money, bro. That is wild.
Dang, man.
All these effects have just faded away.
High res, more like low res, am I right?
But that is, by the way, if that landfall hits, I think the game is over. If that landfall hits.
It did, it just wasn't visible.
No, it didn't, because the Kerbis but the landfall hitting and securing the Kerbis means there is really no damage that comes up for the next 10 seconds, 15 seconds, which gives them a pretty big opening to just, win. So, that's scary. Right now, I feel like these fights are going better for the Masonry. Each one they take that is a full 5. That time, the Chalk was put down. The Geb was able to buy a bunch of time for his backliners to take down the Chalk. Simon Says Smite was not a part of that one, though, so that's a big factor in it. You need to see a true 5v5 to really see if these are going to go better for the Masonry.
They have tools on the defensive end, clearly. But Firelink 5 have great tools to dive as well. That shield off Nemesis can provide you something good in a pinch. Now you got a bomb in their pocket, too. Even scarier. They're going to this time go try their hand at this left side bridge, which is awfully interesting. Nemesis does have a bomb in pocket, leaving the charge on the right side. Noel adds a bit of poke, just so you can really know, hey, you saw 4 members in the left side, but are we really sure they're there? Now we are. Pyromancer Bomb, not even going to be expended, but you might expend a life. Someone says Smite, they do go down, and now Cthulhu goes up into the descent, into madness, raining down that damage on top of anyone. Tries to stay inside the solar blessings. There is no god, I am your god! Brings down some decent damage on top of their treating members. White Armor could be in a bit of trouble trying to shred J-Rod right back. Knock up there, going to expend that mounted archery in response. Firelink 5 treating down this left side, but the front line of the Masonry not happy about that. They want to try to find a bit extra off the back end. Might be looking for the shock. A lot of damage already raining down from Camazotz. Stone Shield gives a bit of insurance policy. Are you in good hands? No, you're in the hook. You're in the sky. Gonna use that Bat Out of Hell to escape that CC chain that could have followed. Firelink 5 don't grab the bird on the left side, but they do grab one on the right in exchange for the life of Simon. What?
You see that? He let it rip. He was trying to stop that Camazot's back.
Beyblade.
Listen, bats are nocturnal. Surely
They are.
that means that they wanted to make sure that Camazot's got burned. Right? But the Camazot's there, I feel like the Bat Out of Hell was a bit, he's a bit antsy. He didn't want to get hit by that searing pain. But you could just also wait for Ra to charge up that searing to react, opposed to,
That's
automatically. True. But I think it's also just, you're in the situation, you have a big fight that goes your way. That fight is massive. You get a pick on the Nemesis. Simon Says Smite just kind of fell over and died. There's no other real way to put that. He kind of he got the Phoenix and then just accepted his fate. Which is massive.
Maybe that's the job?
The momentum.
To be fair?
the momentum was just in their favor, and I think he just kind of got a bit too excited and burned that bat out of hell a bit early, which is fine, right? But we're now back to the point where Fire Giant's being pulled, and Firelink 5 are much better positioned for it.
It's not just a fire giant, my friend Val. This is EFG in the game. Cthulhu wrapping on this left side. The 5v5 fair fight we hoped for. Not going to go your way. Firelink 5 take away the FG. Taking away the health bar there of J-Rod Jr. Brought down, being humbled by White Hombre. They're going to continue mounting this archery, mounting the damage on top of any member of Masonry caught in their path. Stone Shield expended on Pest News. The rest gonna be able to escape out through this right side. But look at Maui, he's winding up. He's got a big landfall for you. We can see it wide as day. And unfortunately, might be seeing black as night. The screen for Charybdis in just a second. One more arrow in the back brings down Pest News. Right side bird already burned away, which means the Masonry have nothing left to retreat back to, apart from the waiting pools of the fountain. Camazot's the only one left on the front lines, trying to put up a stiff defense, but that bomb means there's no hope in hell as the mid-bird goes down. Only the left one remaining. The Masonry trying to put a staunch defense on up. A good knock-up. Forces some decent damage down on the Maui, but here comes the Raw. Heard your Nocturnal. Really make the screen a bit brighter for you. Beautiful beam puts the damage on and on Steve. Doesn't kill, but Stoops goes down nonetheless. It's only the Bat and the Nuwa left remaining, and the Masonry's house has been completely constructed into shambles. Firelink 5 take game 2 in spades.
That Searing Pain at the end of the game was absolutely disgusting. Nuwa almost got one. Like, completely one-shot by that. That is insane. That just almost evaporated her. She almost disappeared. Faded into dust from that Raw. That Raw was disgusting from its Devo. Or Dova. I'm saying his name wrong because I'm so baffled by the amount of power that Raw just exuded right there. This is Firelink 5 are kind of taking control right now and are just kind of the momentum was taken away from them, and then the Ra reestablished it, and then the Ra just kind of won them the game.
You got buffed. The opposite of nerfed.
The opposite of nerfed, bro. It is the Ra got buffed.
4-1. It's really impressive, honestly. The healing as well. I mean, you could tell they put respect on it in the sense that they were trying. Oh my god, this chicken can see far. Dude's got 20/20 vision. He's got bifocals. He's going to be saying 4-syllable words. That's an intelligent chicken right there. Doing his SAT practice tests and everything. Firelink 5, to their credit, they really made sure to dominate every aspect of the game. Objectives, vision, the fights too. Late game comp there for Masonry, they started to put the pieces together, started to stack the bricks on up, but every single time they put up one brick, Firelink 5 just seemed to take down 2. And these fights eventually, once they started to mount and once everyone started to group up, just were not stacking up their way. I think we saw improvement for sure from Masonry. They still definitely have some adjustments to make, though, in the coming match.
They definitely do. This Raw might also have to go. Because that is,
yeah?
a bright performance indeed. He got buffed.
That just feels bad, man. He got buffed, the opposite of nerfed. That's just really great play from Dovey to put respect. Every single time one of these members of Firelink 5 just does well with God, it's sad because then you have to think, shoot, now I got to ban this. That leaves open 2 more picks. And all the meanwhile, double the DB, just doubling down on the CC, just keeping up these hooks, these landfalls that are so impactful throughout the entire game. So Firelink 5, this gun's got multiple bullets. They can keep on firing, and Masonry have got to just, I don't know, throw a brick at their head maybe and knock them unconscious or something, run their pockets, but there's got to be some way to take them down to put out their fire. Will they find it in Game 3? We'll only have to wait to find out. Don't you dare go anywhere. More Smite action after the break. Hello everyone, welcome back to Animosity's Smite League Finals of the Jotunheim division here, and potentially our final game between the Masonry and Firelink 5. I'm D'Lo, joined here by Not a Valve Game, joined here by Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky. Valve, how we feeling?
I am, anxious because this is the set point, the championship point for Firelink 5. By the way, this was the 5th and 6th seed of the division, of the entire division, giving us this show right now. And Firelink 5 is looking pretty dominant, especially after that game. The momentum was shifted away from them at one point, and then one Raw Ultimate just completely yanked it away from the Masons once more. So I am looking forward to what the Masons do to try to counteract this. They are about to be eliminated, about to, be put into second place as they are on, the set point. See what the bands are.
Ravon, Circat, that remains the same. The question is, what will change? Maui! Now we're finally putting enough respect on the owner. And of course, immediately the consequence is that J-Rod's going to DC from the game. You got to imagine that maybe AA said, hey, can you guys just, not ban that guy and I'll slide you a cool 50 gems, but unfortunately bribes no longer going to work. The Masonry have found their honor, have found the right target to ban potentially. What are your thoughts on that one? That's a respect bans we've seen before on picks that Firelink 5 have taken. Was the Maui the real chaos causer?
I think in Game 2 it wasn't, but in Game 1 it certainly was. Game 2, it took sort of a backseat role to this Ra for sure. The Bastet in Game 1 was something that was allowed to do so much, so I'm not surprised to see it banned away once more. The Shibalanke is something that returns as the Camazotz is left open again. And we will see if they pick it up. That guy got, not nerfed. So we will see if they are picked up by the Masons once more, looking to build their house back up after it got demolished last game. And the Camazotz might be a good start to that.
Potentially. Could be the first take we see, but at the same time, it doesn't feel good to go with the same option that you ran with last time when it just didn't end well with you. It's a question of, was it the God picks? You have to imagine that they're probably looking in when reflecting a bit. Was it our execution, or was it our composition? With 2-0 on the scoreboard, some doubts might be creeping in, but you can't have that happen, especially when your back's against the wall. You gotta feel confident. You gotta just try to say it with your chest. We can win off the big bat. We can win off any gods we so pick, but I personally would not mind to see the Camazotz return, especially since you don't have that Maui to worry about, so you might not have to burn that bat out of hell defensively quite as often without the Master Fisherman to worry about. Still waiting to see what they decide to go with. It's safety of a different form. It's Charybdis. Performed well in the last game. Hopefully he can do the same this time around.
Yeah, performed well last game. And hopefully it can keep itself safe once more. That Nemesis gave it quite a bit of trouble. So did the Chalk. The Nike is hovered and locked in once more. We're going back to Honk Shuin on the Firelink 5. As Hachiman is locked in once more. They're together this time. Once again, they return to being together.
Firelink 5 are villains. That's gross. That's just gross. That's so unfortunate. Masonry, I know we're as casters, Valve, we're not supposed to be biased, but Firelink 5, they can shove it. Honestly, Masonry, I want to see reverse sweep at this point. Firelink 5 have sold their soul to the devil. You can see it through their avatar. They've signed the big black Book of Thoth, and now at the very least, they've signed also a nice big Scarab Beetle to your side. Banned last game, now on their side for this time around. Stoomps takes the Kepri.
This is a priority pick because ban away the second side of things by Firelink 5 in both games. Cullen picked up as well an aggressive solo later. Something that will out-pressure the Nike and hopefully put it down J-Rod, giving himself something to get a bit more initiative, get a bit more active. And the Kepri pairing off with it makes for a really strong, I would say front line, but Kepri likes to play somewhat in the middle of the fights. He likes to sit with his carries, but he also does like to get involved with the front line to make sure they stay alive too. This Kepri is a character, recently, what we say about those characters that don't get nerfed? Got buffed. He also did get nerfed, actually, recently as well. So my statement was a lie. But this Kepri is a powerful pick. He can do so much and keep people alive so easily.
It's a great insurance policy. Once again, Allstate, are you in good hands? It's better than a shield? A second life. So Kepri going to be very useful for that. Does opt some potential for execute counterplay, but of course Firelink 5 probably not going to take an Achilles at this point, so you have a Thanatos option, not maybe going to be what Firelink 5 feel comfortable with. Instead, feeling comfortable with the Janus, which you mentioned before, non-Steve, a favorite pick of theirs. They take it away instead. Take off the Bat and the Thor. A deforested picks and ban screen here. What does that leave as far as our options for those jungle picks?
Yeah, that is a... I'm still caught up on this Janus pick so early. It is something that it has to be, you know, something that it is comfortable. Dovey is comfortable on, something that they want to use and be powerful with. As the junglers just banned away, and Sobek is an insta-hover here. This is something that Double is like... Double in his picks, man. Judging by the way he's been hovering, like this Maui in game 1 was insta-locked. Literally insta-locked. The second that they could pick it, they insta-locked. And the Sobek was hovered instantly. It didn't lock it in immediately. But Double is just on that mindset of plucking. Picking, plucking, fishing. It's what he's doing. Crocodiles, they hunt fish. They hunt whatever they want. And Sobek is going to be looking around, lurking in those waters, trying to grab up who he can. I am not surprised he's picking another pick that is a pull. Set is the response, which is a very interesting pick here, especially into a composition that gets away from him very easily. I don't know about this one.
They do have King Kerbis.
Oh, it's John.
And they have a King Slayer. It's thematic consistency. Jaime Lannister here about to slay the Mad King Nike, and everyone will all cheer as the Nike falls. Sobek is such an interesting pick here. Like you said, it's the same kind of look where you just look for one single target, you pull them into your line, and you just pour damage on top of them. Discordia going to be the apple of the eye of Masonry, locking in that mid. Some interesting options we have here, some interesting safety as well with that erratic movement. You have some good peel for yourself to get back out of a pinch. Hoon Bots is the potential response. Opens up some really interesting CC chains here from Firelink 5, but if they decide to go with the Monkey God, the problem that of course presents itself is you gotta make sure you're coordinating that CC accordingly. If you get your PEMDAS wrong, your math's gonna get screwed up and your equation will be toast. It's gonna be locked in.
Hunbats is the pickup for Firelink 5, and their composition is interesting, for sure. It is one that is a pick comp, but then you have a Janus comboing off with the pick comp, which is not something that usually pairs well with a pick comp. It's something that likes to, you know, zip itself in and out of fights. It's not one that... I mean, it's got follow-up, right? I believe they called it... it was Team Coast that called it the LeBron, where you pluck somebody into the Janus portal, and that's the LeBron, the maneuver.
Has LeBron ever done that in an NBA game?
What, pluck somebody into a Janus portal? Possibly.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
I don't watch sports ball, so we'll see. But
well, hopefully we get the analysis on that.
I wanna talk about the Set real quick. The Set jungle. Set is normally, when he's picked up, he's primarily played in the mid lane. And Set here, I'm gonna be blunt here, I don't like it. Because they have so many things that get away from it. The Janus easily gets away from it if he's anywhere near a wall. The Hachiman pushes the mounted archery and gets away from it. The Nike can push it away from it. The Sobek doesn't really care. And the Hunbats is the only one who really can get caught by it before no Evo comes down.
That could be rough. We have to make sure the Set then is...
It will be.
Is that kept safe. That being said, hey, we've been proven wrong before. We thought a Cthulhu pick would ruin everything here for Firelink 5. Kind of doesn't fall where you would expect. So maybe a couple of early kills in your pocket. So if you are this Set, let's try to look on the positive side here, Valve. Where do you want to see the Set look for those early kill potentials?
That's a difficult question. Where do you look? You got to be set up by somebody. Cullen's either got to lock down this Nike for you, or Kepri's got to keep Sobek or Hachiman in his clutches for you to, you know, put it in and secure the kill. That's what you got to do. And the Set needs help to, you know, get this game, get himself going. And it's not something that, like, naturally he could do with this comp from Firelink 5. Firelink 5 just is too slippery.
Hopefully not going to be able to slip out of their grasp before our friends on the Masonry can get one game on the board. Will they do it? Let's find out. Potential set point here of Jotunheim Finals coming at you.
once again, we're in a wild card situation. I feel like if Set pops off, it will be a win for the Masonry. If Set somehow finds a way to go crazy, we have the Masonry winning this. But Firelink 5 has just so many things going for them right now. With this comp to avoid this set, the momentum's in their favor. We got to see a turnaround for the Masonry. The set, they've got their back. The Masonry's got their back against the wall, and they pull out this set. So there's got to be something here that I don't know, that we don't know.
It's potentially maybe just a comfort pick, and sometimes when your back's against that wall, what feels best? Comfort food. Mama's chicken noodle soup. Chicken and grits. Cornbread. Collard greens. Get that stuff that you feel good having in your pocket, in your belly, and maybe Firelink 5 will just have to respect it. Question is the pressure. How do we respect this? Who do you think has the edge in terms of this dual lane for the first few minutes?
The one that allows you to aggress like that. The Sobek is something that can dictate the pace of a lane because of the pluck. That charge spray is something that is volatile for a carry, for a support, for anybody. However, the abduct is a good countermeasure. If you beads out that pluck and then the abduct comes out, grabbing the Sobek, and let's just say a jungler comes by, or even just the damage return is really big for both lanes. These lanes have a lot of volatility in them, but I do think the Sobek Hachiman just has a bit of an edge because of their damage numbers being a bit higher.
They also have a bit of karma against them, though, because they did pick a Hachiman. They sold their souls. Firelink 5 willing to put it all on the line here to grab this final for themselves. And on Steve, eating some unstable vortexes here. Certainly does not feel good. This is prime LeBron, potentially, that Firelink 5 are coming at you with. Gotta make sure you don't get posterized, because you could be in a lot of trouble. At the very least, though, no jungle ganks quite seen just yet. Everyone's just content to farm up in this mid lane. What you mentioned before, though, we saw it just a moment ago. King Kerbis under so much pressure here from J-Rod just with that nice barbed spear. So hopefully Nike can be put in her place because she was quite the big problem in that game one.
She was, but this Cullen is going to be able to manage the lane much better into the Nike than a pick like Ama. As Sobek plucks into the tower, the charge spray, the abduct is not up, unfortunately, to be able to grab him back into it. The Nike was forced to reset already by the Cullen, however, so that teleport is down. Cullen does not have teleport of his own, though. He went to beads because of this Hunbats. And this Sobek, meaning he's going to not have a teleport for this entire game. He's going to go Blink second. Cullen is a character that I think one of the few that need Blink. I think it's him. I think it's Tyr. And then you've got a couple other ones. Kabrakan is another one that needs Blink. Needing some help, this Hachiman burning his beads.
Both relics, in fact, expended by the dual lane of Firelink 5, that shell as well. So Masonry taking that pressure that we saw from Firelink 5 and putting on its head. Nice work there to just try to combat. We saw before they're willing to play a patient game. They're willing to try to slow things down to wait for the late game, but what they need to do is actually pay back those dividends. And here's a great way to do so. Invading this purple could be a great way to start off some more pressure to your side. It's successful. The abduct grants you a bit more damage on the Sobek too, but here's the pluck right back. You want to enjoy that purple buff so much, why don't you stick around? Why don't you marry it? Students like go down here. There's a brilliant shot. We talked about LeBron. That three-point shooting looking more like Curry. Dovey takes down the first blood, forcing out the relics from the Charybdis. You just got dunked, Simone says. Best news going down. 2 kills there for Firelink 5.
Through space and time, sends them through space and time as the Fear of Evil comes out. The Kingslayer comes out to try to respond to it. Good damages here, though. MMR Terrorist does not have any mana to respond back. If he has mana there, I think he gets double kill. Nike might put down the Kukulkan, though, as the Furious Roar comes out. Both of them limping away back to their towers. Kukulkan has to reset. Ooh.
Little Jimmy's too scary, dude. Yeah, he's like, I can't respect that. That guy's little Jimmying all over me. I can't back away.
Listen, as a LeBron myself, there is a certain gall to just straight up blasting somebody with a through space and time, blasting both the dual lane, by the way, after off of a Sobek pluck, knowing where they're going to go, exactly where the pathing is, to hit both of them. He didn't just hit the Kefri, the big target. He hit the tiny little Charybdis, as now a bit of an engagement over the shield buff. Sobek.
This is dangerous. Sobek takes that shield buff, but gonna need it even more in hell. Double the damage for double the DB. Pest News takes them down, puts themselves on the kill board. Masonry on both sides of the map, getting some action here. Grabs that BDK as well. 5 minutes of out we're seeing quite a bit more action than in the prior game. And even though the kill's not going in their favor, Masonry's still making a show of force here. And you gotta imagine with how their team scales, with their late game team fight potential, can only spell good things to come in the future.
Something I love from J-Rod's pickup. A lot of Kakolans will rush this mystical nail, or will rush, you know, a Phoenix shield or something along that line. He looks at the contagion. This Nike. Every single ability she uses, other than that Sentinel of Zeus, has the chance to proc that. And would you look at that, all that free damage that comes out because she used her kit on the Kakolan. And Kakolan, just able to trade into her using his own abilities to hit her, absolutely demolishes her in that 1v1 because she just takes free damage for playing the game. The Contagion is a, you know, as an item itself, I'm not going to talk about the design of the item, right? But the item is so good into Nike because of what she does. Every time you are CC'd by a character, you take 25 magical damage a second for 5 seconds.
Oh no!
What's also crazy here, this Janus is going in.
Once again through space and time, point blank, just blasting on Steve in the face with the Kamehameha. Fortunately, this guy is Super Saiyan 2. Gonna be able to survive that one without too big of an issue. But if you're able to continue hitting these, it's Dovey is gonna be a huge problem. Uh-oh, it might be Dover, as we said before, but a nice portal saves their life. Can't quite terrorize the mid laner if you're too busy stuck in through space and time. Woundbots uses their ultimate, but might have some buyer's remorse in a second here. Not going to find that route with the Discordia. Kingslayer, though, going to be activated, trying to just find a bit more damage. Not going to be successful. No one falls here in the mid lane.
I'm surprised that Janus can move so fast with the size of, you know, something he's carrying right now.
The cojones!
The cojones, that's a great word to use there. I'm surprised he hasn't fallen over yet. Because he is absolutely, he walked into 2 through space and time. Oh, Sentinel Zeus was forced away. I love seeing J-Rod absolutely spank around a Nike player. This is great. Demolish this kid playing Nike. Anyway, let me stop talking about the Nike. But the Janus right here is not afraid to just go for it. This through space and time came out standing next to two players of the Masonry and just going for it, man. He is ready. He is here, and he is just active, getting active. It's Dovey. He's trying to make this set Dover.
I mean, did you see how Stoops used the ultimate on himself, too? He's like, Steve, good freaking luck, man. I gotta think about myself here. So instead having to force the Scarab's Blessing out and then changing that attention just as quickly, dude's neck is on a swivel. The way he won it, he trick shot it Steve instead. That just shows amazing potential here for Dovey. Long range, short range, you got a shooter on your side. Firelink 5 got to make sure to take advantage of that because not only is it just great damage, it's great map mobility as well that can force so much pressure around these objectives. We're seeing one right here, Masonry. Looking for their second BDK. Moonbot's the one on the scene at the moment. Here comes through space and time once again from long shot. Bang! No, not going to quite find enough damage. Masonry, unleash it just in time to try to pick it back up. But at this point, Firelink 5. Privy to their tactics. Could be dangerous here, especially if Sobek finds the right pluck. Going fishing. Seems like Giannis and Discordia have lost interest. Going to leave this one to the rest of the team. Here comes Nike battering away, but that's going to force the contagion damage, like we said before. Going in deep. So is Sobek, but what follow-up do you have off the pluck in the first place? Sentinel of Zeus forced out. Here comes the knock-up, but here comes the bully form of Kakolan. There's the Scarab's Blessing as well. Terrace plucked back in, right into the Fear No Evil, but right back into the waiting arms of your Beetle. It's not going to be enough, though. They could be in trouble. They might just survive, but barely. Kepri as well. How are you all still here? King Kerbis will fall. Steve takes down. Simon says smite, and just as soon as you can say the word smite, it might be Kakolan going down. Once again, Kepri goes back in. This Beetle's insane. So is that damage from Discordia. Triple kill there for Steve, wiping away Firelink 5.
Steve is anything but anonymous after that fight. Did you see the damage that J-Rod did in that fight, by the way? I'm not going to give all the credit to Steve because I cannot. As a solo laner, as somebody who just watched that whole thing, J-Rod just soaked up so much damage and did so much damage setting up for his mid laner there. That was absolutely immaculate play from the Masonry there, and suddenly things are looking up for them. Steve just got 3 kills in that fight and is now 2 levels up on a Janus, 1.5, let's say. And Janus is one of the best farming characters in the game with how fast he can move, how quickly he clears right now. Be careful though, MMR. There's 2 people with quite a good CC.
Ooh.
Slip away real quick.
That was close. That was necessary. Using that minion of set there, just get back to quickness into the tier 2 or tier 2-1 tower. Down 9 minutes into this game. It's 5-3. Masonry responded, and now they not only have the kill lead, they also got some gold in their pockets, about 2,000 to their name, thanks to those 2 BDKs they sport on their side. Firelink 5. Their fire's starting to be reduced to embers here. What's their way back in? What's changed? How have they lost their momentum?
How they lost their momentum is getting absolutely pummeled by Cullen. And look at him. Look at it.
Bro.
Look at this guy. Right now, he does not care about this Nike. Nothing that King can do here. Okay, he stole the cooldown block. That's something that he can do. But nothing that he could do here that allows him to fight J-Rod on an even field. J-Rod has Contagion, which now makes it not fightable for the Nike. Sentinel Zeus coming out as Set shows up to take quite a bit of damage. He will not fall here. If Nike jumps in there, he's dead. 100% dead. But J-Rod just beats the hell out of him and takes him. I don't even think he takes down Set there either. He might, but that's you know, a bit ambitious. As the Through Space and Time came out to try to respond, and look at this guy. He's just standing there. Did you see him just hit the 80, 80, 80, 80, 80?
This guy's crazy. He's shuffling on him. He's crip walking. He's dancing. Masonry. Look at them. They're dancing too. Dancing.
Look at this guy.
Look at them. I respect it. We are busting it down right here. The Masonry are down too, but you can't tell. They are just dancing a merry jig here in the middle of the pit. I don't even call it the pit anymore. We call it the dance floor, the ballroom. Masonry going to start two-tapping on him in a second. And with 1 more minute left, Beacon coming up here. Going to be an interesting point of contention because for the first time, what feels like the entire set, they have a reason to actually contest the objective.
You know, they do. But this Cullen is going to be a make or break point for this objective. I need J-Rod to reset now, spend this gold that he has, and head over to this beacon. There's no reason for him to sit here, and he knows it. He's going to leave, and he's going to walk towards this mid lane, I hope. Whatever gold he's got to spend is probably going to be for Magical D, and it is. He might be heading into that Heart Ward once more, or he could look towards that Absolution. It would be a pretty decent pickup here. For the left side, danger.
A lot of damage dropping here onto the Cryptus, but luckily she's safe and sound in that Whirlpool form. Safe and sound as well, the CC immunity. So does Hachiman have it, though. Goes in aggressive with that mounted archery, but now it's been terrorized themselves. The terrorist comes to bring the damage back. White hombre ha sido matado. Simon says smite for the double kill on this set. And meanwhile, in the beacon, J-Rod, they got magical defense, but they don't care about it. They're looking for offense. They're looking for blood. Finds the quick kill on It's Dovey, meaning that the beacon going to go the way of Masonry. They have certainly declared dominance here in the lanes.
The Masons have put together something. I don't know what they've built, but they've built something that has allowed them to start winning. The momentum they put up, I don't know if it's a bump in the road, if it's a wall to crash the car that is Firelink 5, but right now they are taking control of this set. The Masonry have turned this around. J-Rod, an absolute titan that they have to deal with right now. Do you see how 2 levels up on his lane opponent right now? In the mid lane, Anon Steve, about 1.5 levels, maybe even 2 levels over the Janus. I'd say about 1.5 levels to be fair. In carry, 2 levels up on Pest News. There is huge advantages in each role right now, other than support, for these teams, and it is gonna go crazy.
The numbers Masonry. What does it mean? It means that we've got a nice gold fury to our side. It means we are definitely winning, which is the opposite of losing, which is really good for the Masonry here. And to be fair, Firelink 5 have not really been on this side of the coin before. They don't know what it feels like to taste defeat in this set. And they might not know how to quite respond. So what's their way back in? What's the one puzzle piece that's missing? How do we get the ship back on course?
We got to fight away from J-Rod, right? We got to look for an engagement that doesn't involve the big beefy Cullen. Because this guy has been soloing us by himself. He's been beating the hell out of every single one of our teammates and then just standing still and staring at us afterwards. We need to find a way to take a fight where he is not involved. He doesn't have a teleport. The Nike does. And it looks like the Nike is going to need a lot more. She's going to have some thoughts and some prayers. The Sentinel Zeus comes out. Set finds some time for himself, but this is taking a bit longer than he thought it would.
He's got no mana as well, and he's got no life, no friends. As Simon says, you're dead ski, my friend. Gonna be terrorists, unfortunately, taking a quick tumble back to the fountain. Masonry got a bit too big for their britches there, feeling good about what they could do against that Nike. But of course, when you have that through space and time, granting that mobility right back, Stoops needing to use theirs to escape back to safety. Firelink 5 looking potentially for this Pyromancer. It might just be a bait. Stoops recognizing that, retreats back accordingly. A good fight there by Firelink 5, the first one we've seen positive for them for quite some time.
Something I want to note, an amazing Spirit Rope pickup for the Kepri. Right? He has the Purification Beads because of this Hunbats, because of the Soap. Right? But when those are down, or when he doesn't want to use it, the Spirit Rope grants him mitigation for this CC. The Sobek Pluck, procs it. The Fear No Evil, procs it. Sobek Knockup, procs it. The Janus Portal, procs it. He has so many things that proc it on the team, granting him that extra mitigation for the engagements, making it easier for him to survive, making it easier for him to get those Scarab's Blessing out onto his teammates, specifically J-Rod, who is going buck wild in the back line of Firelink 5. And I think this is just an excellent pickup. Very good by Stoops to go for this item in second slot.
I want to still throw credit to the fact that both mids on each side are performing absolutely out of their minds as well. And on Steve, we saw that damage prior, enabled yes by J-Rod, but still nonetheless placing it where it counts and when you needed it. And it's Dovey, still doing pretty gosh darn well for yourself, not just in terms of slash line. That doesn't always matter the most. They're enabling their team with that mobility to get those kills in the solo, to make sure they get that damage that dissuades the Masonry from stepping too far up. And look at him. He's clearing away because he knows that I can snipe him from way long back Kingdom Come. It's just fine. Firelink 5 going to force them back away from that Pyromancer. The Masonry have the advantage, but they don't want to force the issue. Don't want to play too carelessly with the lead they've forged.
You know, that fight where Steve got that triple kill? Do you want to know what happened to his ultimate?
What happened to his ultimate?
He missed. He didn't hit that. But he still was able to place his damage and be effective enough to get that triple kill. It wasn't like he was a non-factor in that fight. That ultimate weaved its way through the team of Firelink 5, but it didn't even matter that he missed it. He didn't need it because of how effective he was at placing that second ability, that Strife, being able to put in the damage, using that third ability to get those cooldowns up even quicker. He was just able to be so effective. It's like he didn't even need that goal now. Because he didn't.
Yeah, why not? Just save it. Keep it in your pocket for a snack for later. Gold Fury.
Delicious.
Popping right. Tasty. Keeps the doctors away. Maybe keeps Firelink 5 at bay as well. 17 minutes here, 8-4. 4,000 gold lead slowly being expanded here by the Masonry. And they've got eyes still for this Pyromancer. You can tell they want to pull something. They want to do something with this lead they have, make it a bit bigger, but they can't without some picks. The question is, who do you pick? It's a bit of a hard issue, especially when there's so many slippery targets here from Firelink 5. Now Kepri on the front lines trying to find themselves a nice juicy abduct. Beacon popping back up in just a second. Wrapping around that left side, ready to crash down like a waiting wave from a Yamoja, but it's not Yamoja. It's going to be the Kingslayer Kakoan. Watch eyes on J-Rod. They might be junior, but they are no slouch when it comes to the damage. Nike putting their foot back down. Here comes the blink. Double knock up there. It's not going to be enough to quite find any kills, but the damage is still certainly true. Apple goes a bit wide. It's okay. It bounces around just to show force. Damage raining down top of the Nike. The Furious Roar just to take down that Bastion. It's a warning shot. That could be you next. Beacon goes down the way of Masonry, and they want more. They're diving for that tower. I know no limits. Pluck me back in. Sure, I want to be up close. They find the LeBron combination, but they need to crash the boards. They need to get back to the bench. Firelink 5 are looking low, and that tier 1 tower brought down even lower. The Masonry take it, even without a bloodless fight. Still no problem. They can grab the Pyromancer right after.
J-Rod got pulled into the tower and then thrown 3 different ways and was, you know, like, cool. He didn't care. He got angry, and then everybody ran away. They can't kill J-Rod right now. J-Rod is untouchable by Firelink 5. This Kakolan is a force to be reckoned with, and they're not reckoned with anything right now. He's the one who's reckoned. How?
Uh-oh.
As, this Fear No Evil is not up yet, and Hunbat's blinking in is ambitious. But they might be looking for more. Firelink is kind of dancing here, looking at J-Rod. J-Rod's the Undying. Monstrous is his stat line right now. Monstrous is his health bar. And they realize that, and they're walking away.
J-Rod Jr., first of his name, the Undying, the Unburnt, Mother of Dragons, and defeater of the Firelink 5, at the very least for the moment. Doing a really solid job for that. I gotta say, do you think it's thematic consistency? Do you think Stoops was keeping the bomb out of the hands of the set for for reasons of that IGN, and you figure it'd be most useful in his hands, no? Maybe not. The Masonry instead decided to go for a different objective here. Looking for this Primal Fury. Firelink 5 recognizing that it's up for the claim, but they don't have people on the mark to really do too much about it. Sobek's going to be their only hope for the steal. The Masonry don't quite grant him it. The Abduct a bit off the mark. The Root, not the same case. Fear No Evil, very far off. Great blink there by Paris there to their minion to escape the danger. Whirlpool might knock up too. Could find some good damage here onto the Sobek, but here comes the damage from the Nike as well. Scarab's Blessing finds its mark, keeps them safe. Double the DB. Can't say the same. Kerbis has fallen as well. And on Steve, going crazy again with the Rampage. Roots off the mark. They don't need it. They miss abilities just to show the force. White Ombre for the triple kill. The second one they've grabbed. Steve is certainly making their name famous.
He calls himself Steve, right? But he's making his name known right now. 6-0-2. That fight was a mess. Janice looking to get involved here, though. Threshold. Head portable away. He decided against it. Unbats is floating around, though, looking to see if he can pick anything. No. He's getting out of here. He's not wanting to get involved. No monkey business here.
Mason, grab that FG for all 5 members. This is looking to be the makings of a great foundation. We're laying down the bricks, the cement is ordered, and we're starting to get the scaffolding done for what could be a reverse sweep by the Masonry. Look at the gold, how it's crescendoed. 8,000 to their name, 21 minutes into this game. Firelink 5 is having such a hard time, whether it be solo scraps or 5v5s. What do we think the difference is? We talked about the doubts we had about aspects of the Masonry's comps. Why can't Firelink 5 abuse them?
I'm gonna be honest. This set is allowed to get in, and then J-Rod is just such a distraction. How are you getting away from set when J-Rod is just making you use everything to get away from him? J-Rod is too much of a threat to warrant me being worried about set, and then suddenly, well, Set's
I'm worried about set.
I'm worried about set.
Very worried about set.
King Curtis, or Curtis, Kerberos?
The Kingslayer.
Yeah, the Kingslayer puts down the king as so demolished. I forgot his name.
Dude just got wiped off the map. Dude's name got wiped off our memories too. And the King Kerbis can be paid kindly for playing the Honkshu God. Now you can take a quick nap yourself. Moonbot's there just lurking around the edges. You're not in the jungle this time, monkey. Might want to go back to your own natural habitat. And indeed, they'll oblige. Or at least though the Masonry just going to grab every single bit of jungle farm they can. They're doing a great job of what a great team should do. You take a small lead, you take an inch, you make it a mile, you make it a tier 2 tower, potentially here in the mid lane as well. They've got the FG buff, why not? So much global gold to grab in your pocket. Firelink 5 putting up just ideas of a defense, but they don't want to commit to the claim. Here comes the Fear No Evil, finds the blink though, but it's only going to be on J-Rod. You can't kill this man! Wrong target, wrong abilities used, and now the fight's been separated. Look at J-Rod in the back, combating 4. Scarab's Blessing falls on top here of the Kingslayer. They got to escape quickly, and they will indeed oblige. An easy blink gets them out to safety, but J-Rod, in the meantime, what happened? They will find mortality as they find their way back to the fountain. The Masonry now having to flee. Everything was going so well. What have you done? It's all slipped out of their fingers. The building's coming down. So is the damage on top of Charybdis' head. Pest News swatted once again by their opposition. 2 members off the Masonry. No response even for 1 kill on a Firelink 5.
I'm surprised J-Rod died at all. I think he just took too much damage. He was overestimating his own ability to just survive there and just took too much. He overextended. Was stalling for too long, and now these carries are doing damage. This Hunbats has quite a bit of pen. This Hachiman has quite a bit of pen, and now has this Kinsai's online. You don't have your mid guard yet. You're going to be taking some damage here. The Janus wasn't hitting you, but also the Janus isn't going to do too much to you. He might slow you down a bit with that threshold, but you're not really getting hit by too much. He's got that pen from that passive, but Janus is hitting you with an ability, what, every 5 seconds, give or take? So you'll be fine. Gold Fury picked up, though, by the Masonry, and it looks like they're putting it together.
Here comes the ultimate there from the Janus. Here's the Fear No Evil, separates the fight instantly. It's support and jungle on the left side. They're still looking for this Oni. It's still leashed. They can try to finish it off, but the damage still raining down on Firelink 5. They're brought down low too. Masonry take the objective. They abduct 1. Do they find the kill? Yes, they do. The King's been slain once again. A sword through their back. MMR Terrace certainly making good on the God's name. They grab the objective, they grab one on top of it. The Masonry are back on top.
They put it together once more. Quickly, there was a small structural collapse on the side, but they have put it together once more. And the Mid-Guardian Mail is now finished for J-Rod. And there really is not much to, stop him from just raining terror down. The Sobek can, stall him, keep him away, but how long can you do that? And if you're doing that to him, what's stopping Set? Because Janus can get away, but Hachiman, you're going to use mounted archery every single time and then create so much distance that J-Rod never dies. At this point, it's... In an even game, this is much simpler to do. But it is not an even game right now. Hachiman may be even level with Kukulkan, but Kukulkan is full build. He's going to be getting Redstone to finish out his build. I don't see him going Bluestone Bruges. He's going to be going Redstone. There's really no reason not to.
I love Minecraft.
It is, of course, Minecraft. But it is a difficult hill to climb if you are this Hachiman here.
It's going to be difficult, especially because you're playing the worst god in the game. So you got to imagine that also counts for something.
That is a wild
the Masonry
statement.
Going to be grabbing this FG potentially, but there's 5 members who can test it. They're not expending too many resources, just trying to bait them in for a fight. But of course, they no longer have that reef wrapped around their waist either, so it's an even one. J-Rod going in aggressive once again. Remember, you are mortal. You can die. Best be careful as they're shoved into a corner. There's the apple. Going to find the apple of their eye, which is that Janus forcing that Aegis from them. The abduct. You've been taken. You've been taken down. King Kerbis going to fall to the Charybdis. Now they're looking for the Sobek, who's lurking in the waters. Might go down a bit deeper if you so please, but a Fear No Evil diverts their attentions. Going to be a nice little snipe there at the minion of Seth for the part of MMR. That's A-OK. We got 1 kill. We got enough poke as well. The Masonry now looking at this FG once again.
You said you're mortal, right? He jumped in, he blinked it, or no, he didn't blink. He jumped into the people who don't kill him quickly. Hunbats and the Hachiman were over towards the right side, but the Set is looking to kill the Hunbats quickly. Simon says, "Get away from me, please, you freak," and he obliged this time. The Hunbats and the Hachiman were both far away from the Kukulkan. Those are the characters that will kill him the quickest. And Kukulkan was able to kind of just take advantage of the fact that neither of them were near him and just lived. It was very well done by J-Rod there. He knew that on the right side, he did not see that Hachiman or Hunbats were anywhere near this Janus, were anywhere near this Nike, and was such a good distraction. Nike got plucked, and Nike got disintegrated. That's all that happened.
FG goes down the way of the Masonry. 5 members now strong with that buff wrapped around their waist. Firelink 5 takes something to their name, a nice tier 1 tower. Take that, they say, but it's really just kicking a rock and pretending it's the members of the Masonry because you can't take your aggressions out on them when they're empowered. So, Pyromancer might be up next, and MMR Terra says, ooh, I like bombs. Might be even dangerous. Best keep that out of his hands. J-Rod, please be responsible. Otherwise, TSA is going to have a real big issue with this one. Firelink 5 are present, but not going to actually take it. And J-Rod, being the kind man he is, going to let him away. Oh my god, this is scary. MMR Terrorist has got a bomb. Please, make sure you do not let him through airport security. This could be rough. Could be a rough fight here as well. Here comes the blink from our friend. The Humbats jumps in with the Fear No Evil, only finds a non-Steve, and not even for much damage to follow it up. They're still going to be the target, looking for the Discordia. Finds the apple, gets the big bounce. It's a bank shot here. Talking about LeBron, though. Steph Curry, once again, puts a shot in. Nothing but net. A non-Steve wiped away. Big pluck. We're looking to dunk down on top of the Charybdis, but they go down into the Whirlpool form instead. The Masonry trying to stay safe, but you can't. King Kerbis, the real king, slams it down on their head. White Ombre taken away by J-Rod Jr. Both carries have been wiped out of this fight, and the Masonry might just take what they can. They retreat back with their wounds in tow.
That was a cinematic time slowed as the Discordia felt that through space and time absolutely evaporate her. That was absolutely insane.
Set?
In the mid lane, though, Set did get a T2, I believe, but it looks like it's going to be the last thing he's going to do.
I've got to imagine the pluck into the slam down. Posterized. Absolutely posterized. Dude just got put in a clip. I imagine I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that on sideline sources tomorrow on my Instagram. 29 minutes now 15-9. The Masonry. Again, every single time they seem to gain enough momentum, I guess FG is cursed, bro. Just don't take it or something. I don't know. Firelink 5 really did make a deal with the devil. Anytime they get a bit of momentum to their side, it just comes crashing down. And now, this Primal Fury will come crashing down just so for Firelink 5. They got a gold lead still for the Masonry despite that objective, but now it's being reduced. Slowly, they're chipping away at the lead. The Masonry have worked so hard to build.
Who the hell is this Dovey guy? And why is he suddenly absolutely cracked? Like, the Raw game, he turned it around with an ultimate. That fight, he one-shot a Discordia with an ultimate. That
Babyface
is...
sniper.
This guy, don't give this guy straight line abilities. He just hits all of them. He doesn't miss. This guy does not miss. I can't even speak about it because he just doesn't miss. The Discordia couldn't speak about it because she died. The fight turned around completely after he got absolutely, like, exploded by the Discordia ultimate. And then suddenly Discordia isn't on the map anymore.
Dude, they're playing horse. Anon Steve nails a nice bank shot, and Toby says, oh yeah, you like that? Nails it from half court instead. And the Masonry, unfortunately, just didn't quite have their shooter sleeve equipped. It's going to be that Masonry not going to win that fight.
Wrench, you could dodge a ball, and then you can dodge the
Does it mean you can dodge a gigantic portal coming at you at the speed of sound? I don't think they quite covered that in the movie, but maybe Vince Vaughn could do it. Who knows? 30 minutes here.
They didn't hit him with a wrench. They hit him with the car. That's what happened right there.
I don't think, to be fair, hey, the coach didn't live through that either. He died when they hit him with the car, so got to make sure you're watching out for when those hit.
Yeah, watch out. Fire Giant Dance once more set up. Firelink 5 now have the aggressive posture this time. The Masonry, the control is finally out of their hands for the first time this game. J-Rod, however, looking for a way in. Trying to dance around a bit, but look at this ADC. Look at Hombre here. He's walking in, looking now the Sobek, looking for this ward, taking a bit of poke, but he doesn't care. He's walking here. He's clearing the ward. That's my vision.
That's going to be a good way to just get a bit more dominance around this pit. Firelink 5 have not had the best chances around these objectives, especially when you consider J-Rod. Look at where they are, left side, and look at where the objective spawns in. It's now EFG in the game, and it could be J-Rod looking here for this Janus. Not going to be quite able to gel with that too much just yet. They back off accordingly. And waiting for the opportunity. Firelink 5 still have the aggressive positioning, but they're a bit too scared to rip.
They're waiting for something from the Masonry. Because the Masonry have been the ones who have taken the initiative for these fights. Looks like J-Rod's looking for something, and it's this Janus.
Decent damage there already with the Spear of Mortal Hatred, force them down to half, but you know what happens when you bring down Janus to half. They become even more dangerous. Unstable Vortex finds good damage already. J-Rod goes down to White Ombre. This is dangerous stuff already. The Discordio goes wide. You lost the game of horse. You lost your set as well. Masonry have nothing to do but flee for their lives. Already that through space and time used, that's A-OK. Firelink 5 have done their job, and now we can get EFG around all 5 members.
And then you lost your donkey, because Set was taken down. Literally, the frame Kepriel fell off. That is very well timed by King on this Nike. I am sad because it's looking like Nike's gonna win again, and it's very sad to me. Very frustrated by this.
The Hachiman too, bro.
Janus
So bad.
died of the fire giant. I thought Janus died of the fire. That would have been hysterical.
It's Dovy's too good. It's Dovy's too good. It's Dovey is different.
Powerful, bro. This guy
really is.
Where did this guy come from, and why is he goated?
I don't know. He rose through the college draft without a sound. It's like Nikola Jokic. You know, like he got drafted while a Taco Bell ad was playing, and then he just ended up being the GOAT, the MVP, and just taking everyone to the finals. Dude, what'd you get?
I got a quesadilla, a gordita crunch.
That's appealing. That's good stuff. Personally, I'm a Cravings box guy, and right now, Masonry about to get rolled up like the cheesy roll-up dollar menu item by the Firelink 5. At this point, just looking super simple, the path forward. Firelink 5 will keep these fights going their way. It's going to be easy pickings. Oni Fury, the exact same, gobbled up like some papas fiestas. And that's just going to be easy gold pickings. Look at this lead that the Masonry had. Or should I say, look at this lead that Firelink 5 now have. it just completely was dispelled. The kills are still on your side. That feels nice. But when you have 3,000 gold down, can't quite say you're still feeling like you're on top of the world.
You know, you're really not anymore. Masonry were building and building and building, and suddenly it was demolished. It is not a good look for you. The Masonry had so much momentum, had so much going for them, and all of a sudden, one ultimate from its Dovey has turned the game around again! It happened in game 2, and now it's happening in game 3. This left side Phoenix is now going to be under threat, as we have a brief pause coming out. And I am concerned. That is a huge blow to mental for the Mason. That turnaround is just so rough.
Especially when it's been built not just quickly. This is nothing that they've built over just one fight. It's over the entire period of the game that they've been playing well. But it only takes a couple fights in the late for things to quickly unravel. Like you said, those foundations, you're seeing them get torn apart. And when you've worked so hard, you've gotten so far, no one was expecting you to reach the finals in the first place. And now you're looking at a clean sweep in the face. It hurts. It hurts. So you've got to hope they haven't adopted that defeatist mentality, that they're going to continue to fight back. Around the Phoenix, on the defensive end, what's their key to victory?
Their key to victory is definitely making sure Janice doesn't one-shot the Discordia for one. But on a serious note, their key to victory right now is keeping their team fight together. What they have been doing so well this entire game is just letting Anon go bananas. Absolutely bananas. Anon has been exploding people, popping them, locking them, polka dotting them, and is just all over the place. J-Rod has been such a big distraction. The set has been able to sneak in, do a ton of damage, and then Anon is just able to finish everybody off. Charybdis, I'm sure, is stalling the Soul Laner long enough to make sure Anon can do everything he needs to do, and this Kepri's keeping people alive. We just need to see them play a bit tighter together. We need to make sure they don't split up too far to keep each other alive. And once we start doing this again, I think the game is just going to go back into the Masonry's favor. They can carve out whatever they're forming, these jars, mason, walls, whatever they're building, they can put it back together.
I want to actually throw some attention to the supports. You touched on a little bit that Kepri's keeping people alive. Stooms, I think, has done a fantastic job across this entire set, and
100%.
so has Double A. They've both been really shining. You know, it's not flashing the kill boards, of course, but enabling your team is, of course, the entire shebang for a support. What happened? Because I feel like Double A's contributions were a bit lacking on the Sobek at first, despite how much attention we gave to the LeBron combination. Did that change? Were the pluck targets off the mark and now they're finding the right ones? What is giving them that edge despite the fact that both supports are playing so well?
I think Double, in this game, because his team fell behind, he can't be the one looking to make plays, because if he does it, he dies.
Yeah.
It is the conundrum of Sobek. As if you pluck and they have purification bees, you die. It's why world champion Aurora was building Aegis on Sobek support on the world stage. It is a sort of situation where you go in, and if your team doesn't have enough damage to kill whoever you pluck, you die and you get nothing. And it sucks. But he didn't get active, but getting active is what they're doing now.
Oh my god, we're back in from the frying pan into the fire, back into the back line, and into the fountain for you. We were just talking good on your head top. You can't take all that gas and then get burned. Double DB is double dead alongside Simon Says Smite. A Masonry have begun to once again carve their legacy into the stone face of this set. J-Rod says, oh, you want to step up? Are you sure about that one, my friend? Gotta be the big bully for him now as they look to try to find the root. The Kingslayer's on the prowl. They're not looking for the king, though. They're looking for their subjects. Gonna use that through space and time, not for offense, but to escape. It's gonna be its Dovey getting out, but King Hubris can't say the same thing. His hubris is gonna be his end. Once again, the Kingslayer finds their mark.
Brick by brick, we build this wall. You tear it down, and we put it back together again. We come back. We are now destroying your structures. 2 are up for Firelink as this Phoenix is going to be sieged. There is no ward, there is no TP for J-Rod. He had to reset. But it looks like they are not dissuaded by this, and they take the left Phoenix, the best Phoenix to get, as J-Rod shoving up mid. This turnaround was incredible from the Masonry. That fight started, the block on the Sobek pluck from that big beetle body was able to prevent the Sobek from getting away, and the fight fell apart from there. I'm just impressed that how well listen, they played the fight tight, they put it together, and that's exactly what I said needed to happen, and they've been doing it.
It's fantastic work there by the Masonry. I think that they've adapted well. They're recognizing, okay, J-Rod is mortal. We recognize this. He can die. We can't just have him absorbing the ultimates of all 4 members present in the fight from Firelink 5. You see a bit of trade-off in who's taking the vanguard position. Sometimes it's MMR, sometimes it's J-Rod. They're sharing the burden equally, something that Atlas could certainly learn from. And that's going to give the Masonry the edge in these upcoming fights. Now the question, of course, is upcoming EFG, soon to be in the game. How do we look at this one for the Masonry to ensure they get the W?
Again, we got to play the same way we played that last fight, together. We have to play it tight, and we got to look for them to, you know, they got ambitious, and they messed up. Firelink got a little too excited, got a little too antsy, and we were able to capitalize on that. If we are going to engage the fight, it's J-Rod who has to start it. And we immediately, after engaging the fight, have to make sure that we are not too far, we are not too far away from the team, we're not going to get picked because of it when we engage. But look at them prowling. Anon Steve, though, is splitting off quite far by himself. He's lucky that no one from Firelink is looking around, because he is very dead if anybody's nearby.
It's just some erratic behavior, just Discordia things. No worries there. Pyromancer, now up for the mark, and of course, who's there to take it but our friend MMR Terrorist, who's actually, no, he's in the mid lane. Come on, dude, this is your whole MO. Grab that Pyromancer bomb. Instead, going to be left potentially for the support to pick up. And that's going to be a nice boon to your side here for the Masonry. Looking at this EFG coming up, the question is who decides to take the aggressive posturing? Last time we saw a fight emerge, it was J-Rod trying to lurk in the back line looking for that Yanis. Might not be able to do the exact same thing this time around as the EFG emerges into the game. J-Rod takes that aggressive positioning, Set's busy clearing minions. J-Rod, best be careful. Again, my friend, you are just immortal. Going to be able to manage to dodge that pluck, and that's going to ensure no big bass wheel spun just yet. No big fish fried up for Firelink 5.
This is where where J-Rod was positioned last time is a perfect position for Set to be, right? In this last fight where J-Rod got engaged, Set being there is way better because of how safe he can be with that teleport, with the poke he has, but it looks like they're going in.
There's the blink already, and the teleport as well from Mr. Terrace, finding White Ombre first. The Fear No Evil separates the fight, but it's already too late. You've lost your carry. Hachiman's taking a tumble. They've been knocked from the saddle. It's Dovey over here in the left side. Might just try to launch a long distance through space and time to potentially look for that steal. They're preparing up for it. They're winding up their shooting arm. They've got their sleeve. It's sent off. It's away. Can they grab it? It's looking low. The Masonry will not have it. They take it away. That was the scariest long-range Hail Mary half-court shot I've ever seen. But in the end, it results in the same. The Masonry, all 5 members, EFG'd up.
He fired it too high. I hate to break it to you, but he fired it too high. It slightly, he had the angle perfect, and then he moved it slightly too high, and it wouldn't hit. If he didn't flick it there, he might have actually gotten it. I don't know how exactly it lined up, but if he didn't flick it, I think he might have gotten it, which would have been, it's nearly 11 p.m., and I would have been screaming regardless.
Yeah, my neighbors just have to honestly drag me out of the apartment and get the eviction notice immediately, and I'm moving tomorrow. 40 minutes now, beacon secured. Left Bird going to still remain standing despite it. And that's going to mean that the Masonry have still a bit more work ahead of them, despite having that buff around their waist. They were on the defensive last time we saw Phoenix Siege happen. This time, seeing the opposite go down. 19 to 11 is the scoreboard, but the gold lead just about even. Does not even matter. We're looking for kills here. We're looking for this Nike. Without the Kingslayer, though, no one really to try to take the crown for themselves.
Sentinel of Zeus was forced by just standing there menacingly. But the Set is in the mid lane, looking to get this mid Phoenix. The Janus is not going to let him do it so easily. I am perfectly fine with the Set splitting off from the rest of his team. The amount of damage, the amount of poke he has is incredibly high. This Hunbats is going to have to win this 1v1. And it is a difficult ask for the Hunbats because with Set CC immunity, it is you know, is something that Hunbats does not win. But if Hunbats is able to stall out the CC immunity, it is something that he can win eventually. But, Reno Weevil's effective.
But, can they get it? Already, Terrace takes down White Ombre, and on Steve, follows it up on its Dovey. Who are you? I certainly don't know. We've forgotten. Gonna be the nice Warwick ride to get a bit more damage onto the fleeing Sobek, but already only 3 members left remaining, and the Masonry begin to add some chickens to the end of the spit. Now looking for the Titan, looking to begin the foundations of the reverse sweep. Firelink 5, try to dive in. Nike finds a kill. King Kerbis upsets the Kingslayer. The Terrorist now has to fall down. There's trouble in the town as Pest fleeing with the Hungered Maw, and the Khepri waiting in the back lines, just trying to escape, but you can't. You've been plucked back. You're sticking around for a bit longer. What happened is all falling apart once again. We're smashing Beetles, it seems. Gonna use that Scarab's Blessing to scuttle their way back to safety. Firelink 5 lose 2 Phoenixes, but they stay alive to fight another day.
Losing 2 Phoenixes is, you know, not the worst thing that could have happened, but it's pretty close.
Yes.
It is pretty close. They pick off the set. Him not having Fire Giant is actually a pretty big boon for Firelink 5 because the amount of damage he does, while it is still very, very high, drops pretty significantly because that extra power from the Fire Giant is not there anymore. So I'd say it's a decent pick for the amount they lost. It's not even by any means, but it's still something. You know, it's a good little consolation prize. As the EFG will be falling off soon, so we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna do another dance. We're gonna do another dance, see how this goes. Again, the Masonry have taken control of the game once more, but this lead is not too crazy. It's only 3K.
At 43 minutes, that's nothing. That's pennies. That's the pennies of those clay minions we're looking for in the game, too. And at this point, it's going to come down to execution. With 2 bombs in the pocket of Hoonbots, definitely worth it to keep your eye on Simon Says Smite if Simon says, I'm going to try to drop all this damage on an objective. The Masonry have all the time in the world once this FG pops up, since those Phoenixes will be keeping Firelink 5 at bay. They've got to find some way to just keep taking out those fire minions while still providing some presence here on this EFG. I don't know. Looking ahead at this objective fight, do Firelink 5 put up a contestation, or do they just have to worry about playing cleanup?
I think the Firelink 5 have to look for an opportunity, because right now it is something that is J-Rod is going in and J-Rod is winning. You know, J-Rod is just catching W. And the set is able to follow up on that. The Discordia is able to follow up on that. And it's just winning. You got to find an opportunity either to pick J-Rod, to pick this set, to pick somebody off on the side. You have a pick comp with this Hunbats, with the Sobek. The Janus, however, is not the best follow-up. Hachimon's also on the other side of the map right now. They're not looking to fight for the CNG at all.
No, it's already been taken off down to half health. Firelink 5 a bit closer. If you want to put up a mid-range shot there, Giannis, might be your time to shine. Still to just finish the job. Here it comes from down way back when. It's a bit too late, though. Masonry take the EFG. It's out of the game, and it's in their hands. And with that, the only Phoenix left remaining on this right side, about to be their next target.
Yeah, next target. It's the only one that's there. I mean, the left side is respawning shortly. And we will, you know, the siege is a bit easier than the other two because you have those fire waves. Left side is a bit far back. You know, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You see how far back the minions are. These Oni waves are also pushing on the right side. But EFG does mean you don't need those waves. But the waves definitely help. You don't have to start by tanking the Phoenix. This Khepri does have quite a bit of health. So does this Kikullin. But we still gotta, you know, walk in there and not get locked down. Nike also zones away those basic attacks.
Guess they can zone away. Colin, as they make their first steps in. Root's not going to find the mark. That's A-okay. Neither will a Heavenly Banner. A couple bits of spaghetti laying on the floor here. Both lefts and mid Phoenixes have propped back up, but Cullen's gone back in. Apple gonna find the back of the Sobek, not for too much damage. Stoops using those beads to evade that Fear No Evil. Beads expended as well for the Sobek pluck. Now the Scarab's Blessing on top of J-Rod's head. They're going aggressive though, and now they finish it off. They need to be dipping out. Pest News dipping out the hard way. Dovey takes the kill. Simon says Smite is gonna stop in their tracks. They're dead ski. Stoops stomped out as well by White Ombre. At this point, the Masonry, once again, they find a bird, but they also find 2 corpses on their side. Firelink 5 managed to stay alive for another day.
I'm getting nervous. These sieges are not going the way of the Masonry right now. And they are getting wins, right? The first one was a lot better than this one. This one did not go well. And what's going to happen the next time? Because if this trend continues, they might just lose the game. 46 minutes in, approaching 47. This is a barn burner of a game. And we'd hate to see the barn burn down after the Masons spent so much time building it.
They've really put so much effort into it. You've got to admire the effort. Look at this 8-1 Discordia. Anon Steve has put on an amazing performance. These apples are usually finding targets. It's not always the one you necessarily want, but it's causing chaos. It's separating Firelink 5. You have to evade whoever is infected by the touch. And that means that the Masonry can try to take advantage. Maybe it's just not the focus fire they need. Maybe it's just, unfortunately, a bit of lack of damage on their part. But what is the missing piece? What are they not doing properly to ensure they get the thing after the thing? The damage, the kills after the bird.
Thing after the thing here. It is, it's realistically, I think it's just a bit sloppy from the Masonry. We got to get a bit cleaner. We got to get a bit more refined on those edges when we're putting those bricks together, when we're putting the walls up. Got to be a bit more refined. Like I said, these fights need to be tight from the Mason for them to be effective. And the fights that have been tight have gone their way completely. This Hachiman, though, is going to have to be quick. Get away from this, because if he's caught out here, the game might be over.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Hachiman die, just saying.
Oh,
but
I know that.
Not going to be obliged. Not going to be obliged. I don't want to see it go down just quite like that. White Ombre's been a very large target for the Masonry so far. Now he's got a bomb in pocket at the very least. He can fight fire with fire. Runic bombs with runic bombs, I suppose. The Masonry lurking for this left side Phoenix. They are both still weakened, and now you see Set once again splitting off, putting a bit of a distraction in the right side of the mid. But with no minions to really back them up, can't do too much about it. Firelink 5 stands strong as 5 and wait for the damage to come. Discordia ult goes a bit wide, bounces around. The bank shot will not find its mark, which means the damage might not be good enough. Fear No Evil in the pluck leaves the Kepri in the dust. They could be in trouble. So is MMR. They're down skiing the ground. Scare's Blessing used to try to scuttle your way back to safety, but with this Sobek on the prowl, plucked back once again, dunked back down to the ground, crash to the boards, crash on top of Stoops. White Ombre with the double kill.
This is tragedy. The Janus putting in damage. The Kakolan J-Rod slowed down and is, this is not fun. The teleporting pad using the charge to buy time and sent over 2. The 2 will chase him out, but there's only 2 in the base. 2 carries, pushing up the left side. Hunbats buying himself, his team some time. Make sure he doesn't lose their minions. But this Kakolan slowly, like a bunch of little gnats, biting
leave
his
them
ankles.
alone!
They're
just ragdolling him.
Mosquitoes biting as the apple comes through off the mark, but will the Kakolan live? The Mortal Spear of Pain comes through. Backup's there, the pushback's also there. Oh no, J-Rod, please!
Run, please! Value your life! The lurking waters, no execute necessary as they're put down in the dirt. That was death by 1,000 cuts, death by 1,000 plucks. Pest News does not have the same mercy. They go down instantly, shot in the head. Anon Steve now can only watch in horror. What happened? The house we built, the barn we constructed with our own 2 hands might be deconstructed in front of your eyes, but Double is taken down as well. In trade for the life of Terrace, but the damage from Anon Steve is still true. Dovey goes down. Ombre to follow. It's another reversal in the throne room of the Masonry. They've built this palace themselves, don't you know? Firelink 5 to retreat back with only 2 left alive.
They put it together, brick by brick, and know it by the back of their hand. It is... Oh, this is a roller coaster of emotions. 50 minutes and 38 seconds are on the timer now. I am... Listen, man, I gotta be up early tomorrow for a different cast. This is wild. are we gonna go to a game 5 here? This is only game 3 right now. The Masons are on set point. They are about to be knocked out of contention for this championships, and they are not going down without a fight. They are putting up a mean fight in this game. They are not letting it fall away from them this quickly. They do not want to be reverse swept. They will not let it happen easily. As this Pyromancer is going to be contested. Look at Stomps there. Is he going to get it with that? Capri 2.
Imagine. Firelink 5, not going to let it happen. That would be so tragic. Firelink 5, take that Pyromancer without too big of an issue. Now Stoom's just lurking around, waiting around this E, F, G. It's in the game, but it's not really on our minds too much quite just yet. Firelink 5 waiting for the rest of the 5 to join the squad. Masonry waiting for the rest of the construction team to join them as well. Hard hats in hand. Ready to try to get back on the scene, try to start reconstructing what they've lost. Still a Phoenix down the left side, the good Phoenix, as we've all said. That means you got a bit of pressure on your side, but unfortunately it's matched by 2 Phoenixes on the side of the Masonry that down and out as well. So at this point, the cleanup operation had needed to be done by Discordia. Allows Firelink 5 a chance to have the numbers advantage.
The numbers right now. Mason, what do they mean? Masonry, what do they mean? We got to put these together. The posturing of Firelink 5 trying to put together a solution to close out this set. 52 minutes on the clock. EFG pulled by Firelink 5 here as they're setting up, and it looks like the Masonry do not want to let them build this wall to put them out of running for the championships. The Nike is not blocked. Engage comes through.
They're not building a wall, they're building an executioner stand. Simon says Smite gonna be the first one to have their head separated from their body. A good root saves the life of the non-Steve for a bit, but the fire minions want a piece. Terrorists taken down by White Ombre. They will have no shenanigans on their watch, and they're gonna finish off J-Rod afterwards. Don't you remember? You're immortal after all. Double kill there for the Hachiman. Leaves only 3 left alive from the Masonry. EFG forgotten. We're looking for souls.
This is rough, really rough. There's no other way to describe it. This is going back and forth. King there, KK right there, was able to zone out 3 members of the Masonry there and was able to stall them for so long. J-Rod and MMR were just left to rot in the backline. The fight was no longer together. It was no longer tight, meaning the Masons were at a disadvantage. When the fight is split, Firelink is at its strongest. This Janus loves taking fights where they could slip in and out. This Hunbats is looking to isolate you and take you down. The Sobek loves to pluck you into his entire team. This is not where the Masons are strongest. They need to be as 5. They need to be together. And the Firelink have found the link of their win and the Masons.
They found the weakest link in the chain, which was Stoobs, plucked back in, forces the Scarab's Blessing, but a good apple might force the damage right back on top. The infection might spread, and Sobek's in trouble. Forced to back away now. Firelink 5, barely saved by the skin of their teeth. Same with Stoobs. How did everyone survive this fight? The Masonry going to hold on for now.
This is, by the way, Janus almost one-shot Discordia again.
Dear God.
She went from 100% health to between 5 and 10. That's why I made that weird noise in the middle of your commentary, because Discordia literally almost lost her skull. If that was, I could not believe it. I am baffled by how just everything is piecing together for the Firelink. The links are coming together. All these links are coming together, and it needs to stop. The Masons are the ones who are good at putting things together. They put up the walls, they put together the buildings, they put up to this castle they have built, and it's all falling apart for them right now. They need to fix it. They need to make it tight. They gotta put the cement down, the binding, but here comes the left side Phoenix Siege.
Firelink 5 coming back for the rebound. It's LeBron and the rest of the Lakers squad here to finish off the job. And now in the play-in tournament, it could be rough for the Masonry. Plucked back in, looking for Kakolan, but Kakolan's looking for blood of their own. Double D goes down. Simon says Smite to fall through space and time, finds targets, but not enough damage for kills. Terrorist is the first to fall, but J-Rod takes off White Ombre in revenge. Double for Kakolan. The Obduct slowly pulls them back in. Slowly their health ticks down to 0. King Kerbis dethroned again. How do they keep defending it? The Masonry will not let their palace fall. Only its Dovey survives.
They know the palace like the back of their hand. They're not going to let it fall so easily. 56 minutes it's coming up on now as they siege down. A full minute until anybody joins Dovey. Dovey, you are the only one left for Firelink, and you gotta put the links together to make sure that the base of the Masonry catches fire. Looking for something now. The through space and time is not up just yet. You gotta find something big here. Dovey has known to make stuff happen, has made the momentum, changed the game. We'll see if he's able to do it again.
Already forces beads off of the Discordia. That could be key. The ultimate's back online. The unstable vortex doing damage. Here comes the shot. It's gone. Bang. Pest News dead. Stoops low. This could be the defense. No beads means you got no hope. Double kill there for It's Dovey. And it's Dover for your attempt to try to take this Titan. Not in my house. Firelink 5 send him packing.
He walked into the portal. Oh.
Dear God. Dear God.
Everything slowed down again as Charybdis got blasted by the through space and time, and the Discordia slipped and fell into the portal. Everything fell apart. The Masons, they had it together. The bond was there, and then it all fell apart within 2 seconds. It's Dovey securing it to be Dover. 57-02. You have 3 up. MMR Terrorist, J-Rod Jr., and Stoops have to fight against Firelink 5, who have all 5. Can they do it?
I don't know. It's been rejected before. They don't have their backline. That might be what's important, but they got J-Rod, who's gotten a portal, who's got the damage from Dovey, eliminated by White Ombre for the double kill. The Beatles stomped out. The blessings won't save you. We've signed the Devil's Big Black Book of Thoth. Triple kill for White Ombre. Finishes it off with the deicide. Wash the blood off your hands, Dovey. Take a dip in the fountain and emerge a champion of Animosity Smite League.
That was a roller coaster of emotions right there. That was almost an hour-long barn burner. Firelink 5, the Masons put together a fight for that last game, put together a response, tried their hardest to return to not be taken down by a sweep, but the Firelinks did not let it happen. They wanted it done in 3, and they made sure it was done in 3, burning down the base of the Masons.
That is tragic.
So
tragic to see, man. Those bricks are all they have left, and brick by brick, the wall came tumbling down. Firelink 5, proven that even though they might have been the lower seeds, they are not to be discounted. Both of these teams weren't. 3-0 does not at all, in my opinion, Valve, reflect this set count. But let's talk about the stats here. What's catching your eye on the post-game screen?
What's catching my eye the most is, this Janus. This Janus, this player damage, honestly, I thought it would be higher. But it's not, the amount of damage he did, it matches the Kakulin, who literally, he's got the solo lane buff, right, for that damage. Had the Discordia passive for nearly the entire game, set past him by what? Number damage? Less than 40? Something like that? And this Janus absolutely destroyed everybody. This Dovey guy, I don't know who or what he is, right? This creature, this mountain of a man, woman, a they, them, causing mayhem, don't know what they are, what they identify as, an it maybe, but they demolished the Masons.
So sad to see the working class just get destroyed like that, but with Firelink 5, they're eating good. They're eating. And fortunately, means that members of the Masonry get to go home hungry. Empty hands, no games on the scoreboard, but what they do have is their pride. They can go back home saying, we put up a hell of a fight. An hour-long game, not something you see too often, and it's great to see it being played here in the lower divisions. They did not bend. They are not broken. They can come back home with their heads held high with that second place in hand. So credit to them, man. But if we have to elect an MVP of this set, Valve, who do you think that crown goes to?
Listen, we had Simon put on a clinic in game 1. We had Double put on a clinic in game 1 with that Maui. But those momentum shifts came from Dovey with that searing pain, with the through space and time, there were just complete shifts of every bit of the game because Dovey hit his buttons and hit them directly on the targets that mattered. And it's got to go to Dovey. I'm sorry, but it does.
You don't have to apologize for anything. I completely agree with you. Stalling with that base defense, taking the lives of 2, bringing on the fight that would eventually result in the set's end. It's Dovey. It's all you. MVP goes your way. Congratulations. But that being said, Valve, that is all we have for you here today on Animosity Smite League Jotunheim Division Finals between Firelink 5, congratulations, and our friends the Masonry. Better luck next time. You put up a hell of a good fight. I've been D'Lo. Joined here by Not a Valve Game, we had our friend Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky, watching over everything. Please, drop some thanks for our production. We cannot do it without them. We cannot yell funny things about games without their eyes to help us out. So, please, make sure you drop some appreciation for them as well. That being said, last but certainly not least, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer, for your time. We hope you enjoyed this late night set just as much as we have. Keep an eye to the sky for more Animosity Smite League content in the near future. More finals will be dropping. But with that, guys, good games and good night.